enjoy these fights. We're going to have a great time together. I will not get to be, unfortunately, in the booth for most of this, but we will be on in and out of the office. Fights are getting ready to start. They're from Long Beach again, courtesy of Danzen. And yeah, should be a good event, right? Looks like we have a pretty good card. I will be off the mic soon, but I will be here. I'll be in both chats, staying active with you guys. And I just want to be sure I turn down my ad run for Twitch here. So be sure I'm live on Twitch and on YouTube. And fortunately, don't have the babysitting tonight, but we should be good to go stream wise. Just slightly different format. So there's our card as we get ready. We can talk about all the sports under the sun and have a great time together. I'm going to be sure everybody is live and good to go around the rest of Creator Sports Network, and I'll let these guys carry us through the majority of tonight's broadcast.
World champions in tow. I am Rashawn Haylock. 6 fights in total tonight in our main event. From the city they call Long Beach, home of the Queen Mary and all her glory. Tonight, from the Thunder Studios, it's Paco Presents Boxing for the first time on DAZN. Great Friday night slate of action for you here in the 562, and we welcome you alongside one of the toughest to ever step into the ring, Gabe Rosado, and the crime-fighting cut man to my very far left, Mike Rodriguez, 25 world champions in tow. I am Rashawn Haylock, 6 fights in total tonight. In our main event, Eric Tudor, in a main event for the very first time, taking on the 32-year-old Kevin Johnson.
Oh, absolutely. He's a talented kid, man. Has a long reach. He's a tall kid for the welterweight division. Has good body work as well. So he just has to utilize his athleticism. Sorry, man, got caught up. And just fight him from the outside, and he'll box his way to a win.
Our co-feature tonight, Justin Viloria, putting his undefeated 8-0 record on the line, taking on Alejandro Young. They call him Chinito. He's a Mexican fighter making his U.S. debut tonight, Mike.
Yeah, I'm real interested to see how he holds up under the pressure of the bright lights. Those fighters from Los Mochis, Mexico, they're really tough. They're battle-tested, but I believe he's stepping up in class tonight. Justin Viloria was a decorated amateur. He's a local kid. He's going to have a lot of people here watching him, and we're going to see who's going to take that next level. So maybe the next time they're the main event.
6 fights in total tonight. As we take a look at tonight's fight card, we'll kick things off with super lightweights Danilo Diaz and Giovanny Gonzalez. Bantamweights Roy Cano and Larry Serrano Romero. 6 rounds of the super lightweight division, Javier Meza and Luciano Ramos. 8 rounds they'll go in the super lightweight division, Ricardo Robledo and Dante, Ettore. And we talked about our co-feature and our main event. And now we'll send it into the ring for our ring announcer, Joe Martinez.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening and welcome to Thunder Studios here in Long Beach, California. And we are live on DAZN tonight for an evening of world-class boxing, all presented by Paco Presents and sponsored by BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. All fight odds tonight brought to you by BetOnline. And now, fight fans, we're set to go 4 rounds in the super lightweight division. And first to make his way to the ring, he is from Caracas, Venezuela. Here is Giovanny Gonzalez.
Giovanny Gonzalez, 2-6. He enters tonight. Both his wins coming from by way of KO. El Monstrico is what they call him. He's come a long way to fighting this one here tonight. See his last bout there is he was knocked out by Daniel Luna at the Fantasy Springs Casino in Indio. This was back in October. Made his debut in 2022. Looking to get back on the right track. He's lost his last 6 after starting his career 2-0. As we go back inside to jump.
And his opponent tonight fighting out of the red corner, ready to make his way to the ring, Danilo Diaz.
Danilo Gato Diaz, his 3rd fight. He enters tonight unblemished with a record of 2-0.
I'm real interested to see how he does. He had a very good, substantial amateur career. He's got a great corner and trainer, Javier Centeno, who's trained Xander Zayas, and also worked with world champion Georgie Kambosos. So I'm excited to see this initial fight right now.
Fights out of Miami. His last fight, split decision win against Alan Camacho back in November. That was in Playa del Carmen. And his debut was at the Toyota Center, of all places, down in Houston. As we take you to the tail of the tape, Diaz and Gonzalez. This one's scheduled to go 4 rounds in the super lightweight division. It's a 2-year age difference. Gonzalez 2 years, the senior of Diaz. So we go back to Joe.
And now, fight fans, we are set to go. Once again, this bout is scheduled for 4 rounds in the super lightweight division. The 3 judges scoring at ringside, Johnny Davis, Pam Hayashida, and Ron Stevens. And inside the ring, your referee in charge of the action, Ivan Guillermo. Introducing to you first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black trimmed in gold. He weighed in 133 3/4 pounds. He enters the ring tonight for the 9th time as a professional, hailing from Caracas, Venezuela. Here is Giovanny El Monstrico Gonzalez. And across the ring, his opponent fighting out of the red corner. Wearing tonight blue trunks trimmed in gold. He weighed in 139 3/4 pounds. In 2 professional fights, he stands perfect with 2 victories and no defeats. From Miami, Florida, here is the undefeated super lightweight, Danilo Diaz.
Gonzalez has lost his last 6 entering tonight, Gabe.
Yeah, he's coming in as an opponent, man, so but it's his job to spoil the show.
One thing I noticed about Diaz, though, he looks like he's in excellent shape. He looks like one of those fighters that in between fights, he keeps his fitness together.
For sure.
Diaz fights out of Miami. This one's scheduled to go 4 rounds. Diaz versus Gonzalez, the Venezuelan. And here we go from the Thunder Studios in Long Beach. Gonzalez in the black trunks, Diaz in the blue. Nice jab there from Diaz.
One thing I noticed right away is these guys may have a clash of heads. I might be a little bit somebody that watches those things a little more closer than the next guy. But the first exchange they had, they definitely bumped heads.
Both of them look like they're ready to get after it.
Stop. Take a step back.
Diaz working that jab. Nice cross there from Diaz. Comes back with the uppercut. Diaz. And he's got Gonzalez in trouble now.
Yeah, Diaz is being aggressive, but, you know, the only thing is he's standing a little too tall, so he can get clipped with a counter, so he has to kind of stop coming in on a straight line. He get countered by Gonzalez.
I think he's getting a little excited, and I think his pedigree, and if he just boxed a little bit and set his shots up, it might serve him a lot better.
Yeah, for sure. He's a little tight. It's the first round, so you got to warm up into it, but he's a little tight in this first round.
Nice left there from Diaz.
Now it looks like he calmed down a little bit, and he's trying to set his shots up, catch his breath a little bit.
It's a good body shot right there, doubling up that left hook by Diaz.
Diaz, a combo on the ropes. And El Monstrico trying to fight out of it. Diaz comes right back with that jab. Nice combination there from Diaz. He's got Gonzalez on the ropes again. And they got to be separated.
This kid from Venezuela may have an upside-down record, but you know what? He definitely comes to fight.
Yeah, he's
Looks
tough.
like he's ready to scrap,
tough.
right?
For sure. And he's landed a couple right hands, and it's because Diaz is standing straight up, so, you know, his head is on a straight line to get caught with a counter. So Gonzalez is landing a few shots.
Diaz comes in 6 pounds heavier. Got a couple inches on Gonzalez as well as we near the end of this opening round here in Long Beach. And a couple of good lefts there from Gatto. Gatto throwing them hands now. He's got Gonzalez in the corner trying to create some space. And Gonzalez fighting right back. Exciting first round here in Long Beach.
Well, both guys definitely came to fight. I see a little bit of swelling on the left cheekbone of Diaz already. But he's got a great cut man, and cut man Mike Basil, who's worked with many world champions. I've actually worked against him and worked with him many times.
Right here you see Diaz applying pressure, and he's throwing good combinations. Only problem is he's standing on a straight line, so he can get hit with a counter, but it's good aggression right there. Just might want to slip his head side to side a bit.
I did notice that, and after he punches, sometimes his head just pops straight up.
Yeah.
I noticed you talked about him standing straight up a couple of times so far in this first round, Gabe. I'm sure his corner is trying to tell him about that as well. Is that something that can be corrected, though, in the middle of a fight?
It can. You know, one thing, it just depends on the chemistry of the trainer and the fighter. But, you know, one thing that, you know, Diaz, he's strong and stocky. So he can develop offense off of the slip and roll. You know, kind of like the Mike Tyson type of style or the Manny Pacquiao style where you're slipping, and then you throw your combinations. Rather than going into a straight line. Because the problem with that is getting hit with a counter.
And Gabe, to your point, the first thing he did when he came out, he came in on a straight line. He landed a punch, but he also got hit with one.
For sure. And as the level increases, you know, you're definitely going to pay for that. So it's just something to work on when you get back to the gym.
Diaz able to land a big overhand right.
Gonzalez turned southpaw just for a minute, but I don't think it really confused Diaz too much.
I don't even think Diaz noticed.
You're right.
Gonzalez comes back with a big overhand right of his own. Said he had a very hard camp, but a good one. Trained in the high elevation out in Arizona. Comes in here ready to end this 6-match slide that he's on right now, but Diaz has something to say as he's letting them hands fly here.
Stop. Watch your elbow right there, right?
If he doesn't throw something that keeps Diaz off, Diaz is going to keep building like a snowball, fighting downhill on him.
Stop. Thank you.
You know, Diaz, you know, he has raw talent. You know, he's not polished, but, you know, I see potential. You know, there's things he can work on to better his skills and his craft.
He doesn't ignore the body, that's for sure. He likes that left hook downstairs.
Enséñame algo, Giovanny, voy a parar la pelea. Estás decidiendo mucho, Giovanny.
Big right hand there from Gatto.
Both guys are really loading up.
Gonzalez able to slip an uppercut in there. Gatto right back. Scott Gonzalez on the ropes. Big shot there with the jab.
Definitely lots of action to open this night up, Gabe.
Yeah, for sure, man. And you know, Diaz has a good jab. Nice
combo
right
there.
Yeah.
Hey, Gabe, when you burn off some energy, sometimes does that help your fundamentals when you start to calm down and get warmed up a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. But you know, with Diaz is, you know, you can tell he loves offense,
right?
Because he definitely doesn't think about defense. You know, but you have to add that to your game, especially if you want to go long in your career.
Right.
Gonzalez trying to hold on to the end of this round here, and
no,
not going to be able to do so. That's it, says Ivan Guillermo. Gatto improves to 3-0.
That's a good win for Diaz. You know, Diaz, the kid got skills. He definitely has skills, has good power, good combinations, good condition, as you can see. Just work on that. Work on not getting into that straight line. And
I think
he'll definitely improve.
I think that was a good stop by the referee. There's no reason for this other fighter, Gonzalez. He's lost 6 in a row. He's obviously.
To be honest with you, I didn't like the stoppage, but you know, just keep it rocking. It was the end of the round. Right here, Gonzalez's nose is, you know, is bloody. Maybe he has a broken nose, and Diaz is just going in, letting his hands go, combinations, and you know, that was a big right hand right there. But
I think it could have been because there was nothing coming back, Gabe.
He stopped throwing his hands, right, Gonzalez?
Yes.
So Gatto, first knockout of his young career. He improves to 3-0.
I know his trainer, Javier Centeno's got to be happy. He's telling him right now. It's one of those things where you got a lot to work on, but you know what? He's got a lot to work with.
And for the official decision, let's go in now to Joe. Joe Martinez.
Ladies and gentlemen, comes officially 2 minutes, 55 seconds, round number 2. Referee Ivan Guillermo puts a halt to the fight for your winner by way of knockout. He is still undefeated, Danilo Gato Diaz.
So Diaz improving to 3-0, first knockout of his young career. And he's able to defeat Giovanny Gonzalez, the Venezuelan, now losing 7 in a row. A lot to work on there, Gabe, but what was the most impressive thing about Gato there?
Yeah, you know, Diaz is, I like his aggression. I like those combinations. The kid has raw talent. He's in great shape, great condition as he showed. Right here throwing a nice short right uppercut, going to the body, digging, throwing good combinations. And it's just a matter of just working on the defense. Guys are going to throw back, so you want to watch not walking into a straight line, work your angles, and keep the hands up.
And I think the other guy, Gonzalez, gave him enough resistance so that his talent could shine a little bit, and I think that's what the fans want to see. It was a great opening bout.
Saw the aggressiveness, and also saw the youth show, though, there from Diaz as well, but it was enough to get through this one.
Yeah.
As fight was called, 255, round 2. A TKO for Danilo Gato Diaz. As we go back inside the ring to our ring announcer, Joe Martinez.
And fight fans, we are ready for our next fight tonight. 4 rounds in the bantamweight division. And first to make his way to the blue corner, here is Larry Serrano Robledo.
Larry Serrano Romero, 3-4-1. From the heart of Los Angeles, resides in Mexico. 25-year-old southpaw.
He's been with his trainer, Rudy Garcia, now for a little over a year. Rudy told me that he's really improved. He's better than his record. He was actually born in South Central Los Angeles, and because he lived in such a rough neighborhood, he moved to Mexico, and he recently moved back within the last year, and they're looking to get his career back on track.
Enters with a 3-fight win streak. All 3 of those wins have come by unanimous decision.
And his opponent tonight, fighting out of the red corner from Riverside, California, here is Roy Cano.
He goes by El Principe, Roy Cano. 20-year-old, trains in Riverside, originally from Guadalajara.
And in Mexico, he was part of the Mexican national team. He completed a very high level over there and won numerous regional and national tournaments, and they're very high on him.
Let's go back inside to Joe.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this bout is scheduled for 4 rounds in the bantamweight division. Your 3 judges scoring at ringside once again are Johnny Davis, Pam Hayashida, and Ron Stevens. And inside the ring, referee in charge of the action, Sharon Sands. Introducing to you first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing white with red. He weighed in officially 117 pounds. He enters the ring tonight for the 9th time as a young professional from South Central LA. Here is Larry Serrano Robledo. And across the ring is his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, wearing blue trimmed in black. He weighed in 117 1/2 pounds. makes his professional debut from Riverside, California. Here is Cano.
Gabe, what was it like for you, if you can remember that first time when you went for referee's instructions on your pro debut?
My pro debut, man, I actually spotted the guy at 10 pounds. He came in overweight, man, but it was a quick night. It was a first-round knockout.
Not a bad way to kick things off for yourself,
yeah, for sure.
And spotting them 10 pounds. How about that?
And I bet you them 10 pounds, he didn't weigh 117 like these gentlemen.
No, man, he was like a light heavy. He
came in over the bantamweight limit for sure.
Yeah.
And here we go, our second fight of the night. Scheduled to go 4 rounds. The bantamweight division. Cano making his pro debut in the blue trunks. Larry Serrano in the white with the red trim. So let's see what kind of nerves, if any, from El Principe, Cano. He fought 70 times in the amateur division. He was discovered some big-time amateur fights down in Mexicali, in which he was knocking people out. And Moreno, his trainer, said, I need to work with this guy.
Yeah, he looks like he's very well schooled. He already looks patient.
He feels like the transition from amateur to pro, he'll be even more effective with that power. Considering the smaller gloves, of course, no headgear.
Romero's doing a pretty good job for not allowing Cano to kind of catch a rhythm right now. You know, he has a good bounce to him, but he's not really landing anything.
I talked to Serrano's trainer, and he got some really good sparring. As you know, in the smaller weight classes here in LA, you can get good sparring, 3 or 4 days a week.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, Romero, his record don't show it, man, but he's not a bad fighter. He has a good stance. And, like I said, Cano really hasn't landed anything flush yet.
Romero with a lot of momentum coming into this one, taking on Cano, making his pro debut. Cano missing there with the right. And Romero trying to counter.
Yeah, that was a good jab that Romero just landed.
Left hand lands there for Cano, misses with the right.
Nice body work.
Really good body shot there. That definitely got his attention.
And coming right back with the jab, Serrano.
Both guys are off to a good start on this fight. They're being defensively responsible. They're using a jab, and they're setting their shots up nice.
It's a good stiff jab right there by Serrano.
Approaching.
You can see that this fight right here, it's kind of difficult to do a pro debut with a guy with a style like Serrano, because he's fundamentally sound.
Very. Like I said, he's been with his new trainer Rudy Garcia, whose son is a pro, is a young prospect. So I know he's going to be well schooled. One thing that I like that Serrano does when he jabs, he keeps that right hand up, so he's not less susceptible for that left hook.
Big time left there from Serrano.
Serrano won that right.
Yeah.
So the end of the first round. Take a look at Cano's corner. Samuri Moreno, his trainer, he's the one who discovered El Principe down in Mexicali.
I think Serrano's corner has to be encouraged by that round. I would actually think that he outlanded, had a little bit more effective punching. Not sure how the judges saw it, but I thought he had a good round. What do you think, Gabe?
No, I think so too. He was sitting on his shots, landed some good body shots, some good jabs as well.
And if you're Cano right now, pro debut, going up against someone with a little bit of savvy, right? Some more fights under his belt, but as you both mentioned, very disciplined, right? Very fundamentally sound. How frustrating can this be?
No, what the adjustment that Cano needs to make is the footwork. He's staying in range to get hit. So what he needs to do is step in and out. Use that footwork. Step in and out. When he throws his combinations, step out. Don't allow Serrano to throw his combinations.
We'll see if Cano can settle in here in this second round, trying to go to the body. Big uppercut there from Serrano.
See, as you see the exchange right here, he's standing in the pocket with Serrano, so he's allowing Serrano to throw back. So right here, this is a 50-50 fight if you stay in the pocket. So what you want to do, you want to use that footwork and use angles. Get away when you throw shots if you're Cano.
And that's a great point because I don't think Cano's using angles. Even though he's rushing in and punching and not giving any kind of an angle.
No, for sure. He's staying in the pocket with him, so he's allowing Serrano to score too. You know, and what you want to do if you're Cano right here is you want to do a feint. Feint him. You want Serrano to bite and then throw a shot.
I like Serrano's footwork. You know what? He's not leaving himself very vulnerable. He's getting in and out, and he's giving him enough angles and using that jab.
For sure. Nice left hook right
Big
there.
time left there. You can hear chants of Larry from the crowd here inside the Thunder Studios for Larry Serrano Romero.
Good.
Cano comes up. Good scrap we got here in our second fight of the night. Big combination there from Romero.
Let him go, Larry.
Cano just walking in a straight line right to him.
Yeah, not coming in with angles, and Serrano just sees
Big
him.
left there from Serrano.
Yep.
One thing I'm noticing now is where Cano was coming, charging forward. Now he's not charging forward a little bit. He's actually going back a little bit. He's not owning that ring geography like he tried to own that first round.
And Serrano taking advantage of Cano here in his debut. Another nice jab there from Serrano. Continuing to work that jab.
I like the way he pumps that jab, and I like the way he keeps that right hand up so he doesn't get countered with a left hook.
That's a nice right hand by Cano.
Under 30 seconds left here in round number 2.
Good right hand. Nice little 1-2 that he threw.
And Cano comes right back. Cano trying to go to the body there.
10 seconds. Stop at the bell.
Big shot from Cano.
Another good round.
These two getting after it. We're through 2 here. You see Cano being a little bit more aggressive here in round number 2.
Yeah, he was. You know, he was trying to walk Serrano down, but the problem was that he was throwing one shot at a time while Serrano was throwing combinations. So it's only a 4-round fight. You want to be a little more active than just trying to throw one big shot.
Serrano was keeping that distance just enough, and just like you said with that one punch, if he's countering with 2 or 3, he was landing 2 of those.
Take a look at the Romero corner there. And he's trying to be spoiler here tonight, right? Facing a young man. Have you faced anybody in their first fight?
Hey everybody, hope you're having a great time enjoying the fights. I'm here, but I'm having to run around because I'm the only adult in the house, and I got to keep an eye on the little guys. Let me bring down the fight volume for just a second. But I hope you guys are enjoying. We have Tudor Johnson as the main event. This is the Golden Boy Danzin fights today, so just stay tuned. We got it live from Long Beach, and I'll let the announcers do most of the streaming, but I'm around to chat and talk about all the other things under the sun. All right, I'll get out of the way and let you guys watch the action from the fights.
Serrano's just a little busier and a little more accurate. Those are some really good body punches right there.
Cano going back to the body. Cano missing on the uppercut there, but he comes right back with another one.
Cano actually hurt Serrano right there. Serrano held on. He was hurt by that left hook.
And for the
Comes right back with the left. Now Cano on the attack.
And for the first time in the fight, Serrano got a little bit sloppy with his defense and tried to exchange with him. He's still holding on a little bit too, Gabe.
Yeah, he felt that left hook. Cano would like to, I'd like to see him double up with that left hook.
Nice jab there from Serrano. Comes right back with the right.
He seems to got his bearings back, as now he's back on that jab and that 1-2.
Oh, he got Cano there. Connected again. Serrano.
Where the first part of the round was Cano, now this middle, the last part of the round looks like it's going to Serrano.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is a hell of a pro debut.
I think maybe they look at that record, Gabe, and they saw that he was a little bit upside down, but Serrano definitely does have some skills, and he's a tough day at the office.
No, for
Big
sure.
jab. Serrano connected on a flurry there.
And the thing is, when Serrano throws combinations, it's coming from different angles.
Right.
He throws the left uppercut, the overhand right, and Cano's kind of throwing the same rhythm, the same flow of punches.
Serrano seems to be in a good rhythm right now. He's being very educated with that jab.
Let him go, Larry. Let him go. Come on.
And Cano seems to just trying to be loading up with that one shot.
Another nice jab. Big overhand right there from Serrano, but a counter from Cano.
Starting to see Cano's face get a little bit red.
He's taking some shots here.
Nothing too concerning, but if this was a longer fight, it may prove more substantial, but not in a 4-round fight.
Yes,
Late flurry here to end the round from Serrano.
let him go, Larry. Let him go. Time. Stop holding.
Last round coming up. Gabe, what do you think he's telling him out in this 4th round coming up?
Well, you know, right here, as these guys are trading, you know, the thing I see is that Cano's just standing on a straight line, so he's getting hit with the counters, especially that overhand right there. You know, Cano, it's a 4-round fight. You have to be more active, so you have to rim to the body, throw combinations, 4-punch, 5-punch combinations, and that's what Serrano's doing. You know, it's a tight fight. It might be leaning a little bit towards Serrano.
And although he did hurt Serrano, he recovered really, really well. He's getting some good instructions here. That last bit of water for that last round as they touch gloves, and we're going to head to the home stretch.
And once Serrano recovered, he got right back on the attack, as we've seen throughout the course of this one. 4th and final round here. Roy Cano making his pro debut. The 20-year-old from Guadalajara up against a formidable foe here in Larry Serrano. Serrano, that jab has been effective all fight long for him. He comes back with the hook.
Real interested to see how these
Cano,
judges
big
have it scored.
uppercut there with the left. He was able to hurt him in the last round, was Cano. Both these fighters going to go forward here in this 4th and final.
Good hook.
Another good hook there.
Gabe, I know you like that body work, right?
No, for sure. You know, Serrano's just, and you can see the difference in expression. You know, Serrano looks like he is the fighter in charge. Cano looks like he's more, you know, he looks like he's rushing and really trying to let his hands go, but it's not working.
I think the combination punching of Serrano, for me, has been the difference. As a big right uppercut hits Serrano.
Yeah, that one hurt Serrano, too.
Yes, it did.
He held on. And if I'm Cano, I'm ripping that right uppercut again.
He tried there, but missed, and Serrano comes right back with the combo. Serrano again, a nice left hook there from Serrano. Going to the body now. Serrano letting those hands fly.
That was a great exchange. They both landed really, really good heavy shots right there.
And the thing about Serrano's combination is he finishes with the left uppercut.
He's got
It's a
Cano
good
on his,
shot.
He's got Cano on his heels here.
mean, you can't really say let him go. Cano's diving in with his head down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't like that break in the action. Both guys were content fighting on the inside. And
Look, Serrano's not initiating the clinch.
Exactly.
Let him go. Let him out. Let him out. There we go.
Serrano continuing to land power punch after power punch.
Coming down the home stretch, this round may still be up for grabs.
Yes, he's going to go 10 seconds.
Both guys.
Serrano has something to say with it. And Serrano landed another right. Cano trying to land a couple late ones.
That was a really good fight, fellas.
This one went the distance. It was a good one.
I think Serrano pulled it off.
His last 3 have been wins by unanimous decision. Cano making his professional debut. And the 25-year-old Serrano came in there looking to spoil the party. This one going to go to the judges.
And he definitely was a spoiler tonight. He looked really well. You know, sometimes when trainers tell you, oh, my fighter's in the best shape, you know, and he's really made a bunch of improvements and he's this and that, trainer Rudy Garcia was right. This kid really showed that he does, despite his record, he can really fight.
You know, right here you just see Serrano throwing that overhand right, nice right uppercut, landing clean flush. You know, when Cano's trying, he's diving in, but the shots are not landing. Serrano's dipping and rolling away from the shots, landing the counters.
You see the mutual respect there between the two.
They got to be happy about what they've seen from their charge tonight. I really think that they think they're going to come away with a victory.
This one goes to the cards. And with the official announcement, we head inside to ring announcer Joe Martinez.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, after 4 rounds of action, we go to the scorecards. One more time, put your hands together for both of these warriors inside the ring tonight. And here are the judges' totals. Ron Stevens scores it 40-36 for Robledo. Judge Johnny Davis and Pam Hayashida both have it 38-38. This bout is a majority draw.
Yeah, that's not fair to Romero. I believe he won the fight. Actually had him winning every round. He should have got the victory.
You know, all the rounds were competitive, but I felt the same way. At least 3 of the 4 rounds, I thought Serrano won.
Yeah, for sure.
But Gabe, you've been around long enough. You've seen some things from judges, not just in a 4-round fight, and even some of your own fights.
Yeah. And you know, look, it's a draw. It is what it is. It's not a loss, but you know, I think Serrano, he did what he had to do. I felt he was a sharper guy today.
A draw is like taking your cousin to the prom, though.
Yeah, draw's not fun.
I think if you're Cano, obviously you probably take it, right? For Serrano, that's tough for him. He certainly came in.
Hey, Boto, I just turned it up about 20%. I'm gonna mute myself and send the volume back to you. Let me know if it's about right for you. It seems like it's really loud on my end, but I don't know. Maybe it's not for you guys. I've been checking through my YouTube app and I'm watching on mobile, and it sounds like YouTube's way louder than Twitch does. But yeah, I'm gonna bring it up. I'll get myself out of the way. Never saw a draw before. I mean, I know draws happen. First time I've seen a draw watching boxing. Maybe I saw one back in the day, but I don't remember it. So pretty stunning result. All right, let me get out of the way and turn up that volume until it's just right for you guys.
Cano. But you know, Serrano was throwing some nice left hooks. I think right there he held on. Serrano got clipped with a nice left hook. But you know, I like the combinations of Serrano throwing nice short shots, and he was finishing the combinations with a short left uppercut.
Absolutely. You know, and after the first round, he started backing Cano up a little bit, and I think he was even more effective because Cano's defense wasn't as effective going backwards.
For sure. Nice combos right there. And that's what I said. You know, I like that he kept finishing the combos with a short left uppercut, and he kept landing flush, clean.
There were very few lulls in the action. These guys fought, 3 minutes of all 4 of those rounds.
But this is a good learning lesson for Cano. He's going to learn and get better from this fight.
Absolutely, absolutely. Neither guy, they both keep their head up high because they both gave a great effort.
Coming up next, we'll have Javier, Meza, and Luciano Romero going 6 rounds in the super lightweight division. We'll step aside. More from Long Beach coming up.
It's time to transform your
It's Paco Presents Boxing live from the Thunder Studios in Long Beach here on the Zone.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're set to go with our next fight tonight. Super lightweights make their way to center ring. First up, fighting out of the blue corner, hailing from Argentina, here is Luciano Ramos.
Luciano Ramos, 2-9 out of Buenos Aires, Argentina. His last 6 fights have gone the distance, but they've all been losses by unanimous decision.
He's got an MMA background. He's part of the Diaz camp up in Stockton, and from what I heard, he's a very rough guy.
I mean, MMA, right? I mean, that kind of tells you. It'll be interesting to see him make this transition here in the ring.
And his opponent tonight, fighting out of the red corner, here's the undefeated super lightweight from Amarillo, Texas, Javier Meza.
He goes by El Gallito, Javier Meza. His 3rd professional fight. His first 2 have come by way of knockout, 2 wins for him.
Lots of people very, very high on him. You see his trainer, Joel Diaz. He's managed by Joel De La Hoya. He's got a good camp behind him. I know Golden Boy is very, very high on this young man.
Last time out, it was a 2nd round KO against Lyle McFarland. Just up the road here at Honda Center. That was back in February. So Meza and Ramos, our 3rd fight of the night. 6 rounds in the super lightweight division. Paco Presents Boxing in association with Golden Boy.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, 6 rounds again scheduled. This in the super lightweight division. The 3 judges scoring at ringside are Johnny Davis, Ham Hayashida, and Ron Stevens. And inside the ring, your referee in charge of the action, Ivan Guillermo. Introducing to you first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing solid black. He weighed in 142 3/4 pounds. He enters the ring tonight for the 12th time as a professional, hailing from Buenos Aires, Argentina. Here is Luciano Ramos. In the cross ring, his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, wearing black trunks. He weighed in 142 3/4 pounds. In 2 professional fights, he stands perfect with 2 victories. Both wins coming by way of knockout. Here's the undefeated super lightweight from Amarillo, Texas, Javier El Gallito Meza.
Both these fighters, 5'7", 142 3/4 pounds. This is scheduled to go 6 rounds in the super lightweight division. Paco presents boxing in association with Golden Boy Promotions.
And we see referee Ivan Guillermo, an LAPD officer, been with the LAPD for over 20 years. Transitioned from being a judge and a ring inspector. Now he judges and is a top referee.
Ramos fighting with some MMA trunks.
He's got that MMA background. Ramos, 30-year-old, going up against Gallito, who's got the sparkly black trunks.
Meza better watch out for that rear choke.
Or as I've seen recently, one of the guys that was boxing ended up kicking a guy overseas. Gallito has a very, very high amateur pedigree. He was a finalist at National Golden Gloves. He was a former National Junior Olympic champion, and I know they're very high on him.
21-year-old Javier Meza, former high school football player.
One thing I noticed right away with Ramos is he doesn't bring his punches back very fast, and that may cause him to get countered.
Suéltalo, 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 saca el brazo, suéltalo. Suéltalo, suéltalo. Suéltalo el brazo. Stop! Stop! Stop!
That's about the 3rd time that Ramos has pushed Meza's head down. That's just something to watch, and maybe the referee's keeping an eye on that as well.
Ramos has lost his last 6, all by unanimous decision.
Déjalo la cabeza, déjalo la cabeza. Suéltalo, suéltalo. Stop! Déjalo la cabeza.
I don't think Ramos could help himself. You know, it's like an instinct.
Yeah, to get closer to somebody.
You wonder, right? I mean, with that MMA background, right? Those instincts.
Yeah, you see the cauliflower ears, so you know he's probably more of an MMA guy than a boxer. You know, he really can't help it. It's his instinct.
But that's about the 3rd time that the referee has already had to warn him for some technical infractions.
Yeah, and I think the adjustment that Meza has to make is don't get too close. Make sure you keep your distance, because you already know he's going to clinch you or lean on the back of your neck.
Absolutely.
Okay, Ramos, saca el brazo, jálalo, jala el brazo, sácalo. Meza, déjalo ir.
But this is a good test for a young fighter. You know, as they make their way up the ranks, you don't want to just fight the same style of fighters all the time. You know, when you eventually get to main event status 15-20 fights, you want to see a bunch of different styles.
Meza trying to connect with the jab here.
Time.
Not much flow this first round.
Not compared to the last fight.
Last fight seemed like the 4th of July compared to this one. But you mentioned, obviously, Meza being a young fighter mentally, right? Like, what's the mental hurdles that he has to deal with, knowing that it's going to be a little bit unorthodox, right? Obviously, a whole lot of clinching from Ramos here in the early going.
Yeah, you know, right here, he's just walking his opponent down, you know, calmly, throwing a jab. But, you know, when he got too close, Ramos was leaning on the back. You know, if I'm Meza, what I would do is throw feints and then allow Ramos to then dive in, and then you can catch him with a counter. So you want to feint because you already know that Ramos' instinct is to clinch you or to jump on the back of your neck.
Absolutely, and if you catch him off balance, that punch may even have a bigger effect because he's not his legs might not be underneath him.
Wait, can that get frustrating though, Gabe?
You know, it's just a matter of just understanding the rhythm. You know, I don't think, honestly, I really feel that it could be very easy for Meza to dictate the pace if he doesn't dive in and allow Ramos to clinch. Because, you know, Ramos has slow feet.
Stop. Suelta el brazo, cuidado con la cabeza. Claro.
Well, I received a couple of messages earlier that Ramos was a really rough guy and they weren't lying. And I want to give a special acknowledgement to U.S. Army veteran, 97 years old, Frank Rodriguez up in the Bay Area. His daughter, Carol Syracuse, is a very well-respected cut man up there. And I want to give Frank, he's 97 years young. Keep punching, Frank. And we're thinking and sending out our shout-out to you here.
Suéltalo. There you go.
97 years. That's worth a shout-out, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I'll live to be 100.
Well, when you're 100, Gabe, I'm going to be $125, so I'll see you there, buddy. We'll both have Alzheimer's, and I'll pretend like I'm working your corner like I did in 2016 at Cowboy Stadium.
For sure, man, for sure.
Meza connecting with the right there.
And that's what I want to see more. I want to see him just, you know, throw his jab and work his combinations.
Nice straight right there from Meza.
The one thing you don't want to do against a guy that you're obviously more talented than is you don't want to give him hope to think that he's in the fight. Good right hand.
I mean, that's the one thing, though, however, about Ramos. He's been in seemingly every fight. His last 6 have gone the distance.
You know,
so maybe unorthodox, but he finds a way to hang on.
Yeah, for sure. You know, the thing with Meza is, you know, it's just one punch at a time. You got to throw combinations.
Launches there with the left. Meza now.
See, the combinations are better.
Stop. Watch your head.
2's better than 1 and 3's better than 2.
More clinching there from Ramos.
And like I say, when I go to a food joint, Gabe, if it's free, give me 3.
Yep.
Big right there from Meza. He's got Ramos in the corner now. Meza letting his hands fly. Big uppercut there.
He smiles at him, but when somebody smiles, I already know what that means. He felt them body shots.
That's what I like. I like what Meza just did right there. He worked the angles, but you got to make him pay when you commit to those angles. He did the angles. It was pretty, but he didn't throw nothing off of it.
Absolutely.
Déjale la cabeza. Suéltalo. Stop.
So nice showing there from Meza.
That was a lot better round. Trainer Joel Diaz, I'm sure he's much happier with that round.
No, for sure. Joel Diaz, one of the best, one of the good coaches in the game. And right here, you know, Meza just working these angles. Nice. You know, he threw a little more combinations in this round, and that's why I think he was more effective.
Absolutely. Ramos don't look too fazed by it, though. I think he's had a few rodeos himself. I see cutman Saul Ochoa in his corner.
But you know, one thing about the MMA guys, they do fatigue in a boxing match because it's a different rhythm. It's a different pace.
Absolutely. And you know what I noticed, too? Most of them choose not to sit down.
Why do you think that is?
I think because when they're in the cage, they just feel more comfortable standing up. And I think it's just more of kind of a cultural thing. But I tell you what, after 3 hard minutes, I want to sit down a little bit.
Meza looking to work the jab as we start the 3rd round here. This one scheduled to go 6. Ramos connecting with the left there.
That was like one of the first clean combinations that Ramos actually landed. That wasn't off a clinch or a break. Diaz is doing one thing that I don't like, though. He's kind of falling in with his head a little bit, and he may get away with it on this fight. But as the talent level goes up, he may not. He may want to just take a look at that.
Meza?
Meza, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I already know Ramos is doing that.
Meza trying to go to the body. Missing on the uppercut. Nice counter there from Meza.
Suéltalo, suéltalo, saca el brazo. There you go.
But he did get hooked with a. He did get hit with a good hook on the way out.
Let him go and go. Pull your arm out, Meza. Pull your arm out. Suéltale el brazo. Stop. No, pelea.
I like that jab, that double jab of the body, just because it changes your opponent's eyes up a little bit. And if you can get them to drop their hands a little bit, you may have a little bit of benefit upstairs.
Meza with another effective counter. Big left there from Ramos. Really loses his balance there, however.
And almost a big headbutt. They nearly collided heads head on. This is a 6-rounder, so you might see conditioning play a little bit more role in this fight than our first two fights.
Suéltalo, Ramos, suéltalo. De ahí trabajan. Saca el brazo.
Nice left there from Meza. Going back to the body and a big straight right. Meza trying to measure him up. He's got Ramos in the corner, and Ramos holds on for dear life.
Leave the back of his head alone, right? Suéltalo ahí. Stop.
How about that flurry there from Meza, Gabe?
Yeah, it's one thing that Meza's doing is just, he's creating angles, but he's not really doing nothing much off of it. I want to see something different.
Is it a little tougher against a guy like this that has such an awkward style that maybe because of his boxing pedigree may not be what his MMA pedigree is, or do you think it'll still apply?
Right here, Meza's catching nice counter right hand. Worked a good angle right there and threw an overhand right off the top. Some nice moves right here. Ramos is just being rugged in the inside. Doing, little dirty tactics, MMA tactics.
Take a look inside the corner of Javier Meza. This is round 4 of this super lightweight matchup. Paco presents boxing in association with Golden Boy. And we'll see if conditioning actually plays a role here as we get deeper into this one. As you noted, Mike.
I like the way Meza's come out and just sticking that jab at the body.
Suéltale la cabeza.
As my good friend, Philly trainer Stephen Breadman Edwards says, when you jab at the body, it's like hitting you down to the lifeline.
Hey, suéltalo. Saca tu brazo. Hey, you gotta let him go, Meza. Let him go. Stop. You're holding his arm, dude. No, don't push his head.
Now you got the ref warning Meza a couple times.
Yeah. There's that double jab that Meza's been working all fight. Comes back with a big overhand right. Going back to the body now is Meza.
Ramos starting to get some more significant swelling underneath that.
Yeah, it looks like a little shiner underneath.
Yeah, underneath
that right eye. Meza back to the body. How How can that double jab be effective, Gabe? He goes upstairs and then to the body.
You're saying for Meza?
For Meza, yeah.
You know, just setting. You know, the thing with Meza is, you know, he's outworking Ramos. He's obviously, you know, more experienced. But, you know, I like to see him switch speeds. Every punch is the same rhythm. You know what I mean? And you can get away with that with a guy like Ramos, but you can't keep fighting to that pace against better competition. It's just same punch is the same speed over and over.
So even against a guy like Ramos, even he'll be able to recognize that.
Yeah, for sure.
You're seeing a little taunting here from Ramos. Meza.
I think sometimes Meza throwing flurries and then ripping a shot to the body will benefit him.
It's been a better round for Ramos. I don't know if he's won the round, but he actually has competed a little bit and made a better account of himself this round.
Nice jab there from Meza.
And Meza has a busted nose right now. He's leaking from that nose.
Yeah, both guys are starting to show a little wear and tear. Woo. And his nose is leaking right now.
So we head to the 5th. And Mike, they have to tend to that nose of Meza in his corner.
Yeah, they're doing that right now. They're probably putting some cut medicine up the nostril, which is also difficult sometimes because the fighter's breathing really heavy and anything coming into your nose to stop the bleeding. Human nature tells you you're gonna want that thing out of there.
Yeah, right here, Meza's walking him down. Nice body work. I'm not sure what caused that injury to the nose of Meza, but you know, right here he's working the body well.
Ramos does cover himself up. He does protect himself pretty good, and I can see why he's had 6 decisions and hasn't been stopped.
Hey, seconds out. Mouthpiece in. 5th round, box.
5th of a scheduled 6. Paco presents boxing in association with Golden Boy Promotions in this super lightweight matchup. Javier Meza in the black trunks with the sparkles. Luciano Ramos in the black trunks.
You know, my thing is, you know, Meza is obviously the more skilled fighter out of the two. I think you gotta step on the gas. Just get this guy out of there. Show him he's not on your level.
Absolutely, because the last round was a little bit more competitive as compared to the first 3, and I agree with you on that.
Yeah, because you know, you're keeping Ramos in the game by you know, right here just staying in the pocket and just kind of. Like, see how he's doing this? You're kind of playing fencing with him. Just get him out of there. Just let your hands go.
It's almost like he's gotten a little bit used to Meza's power right now. And Meza's going to have to do something to maybe shake him up a little bit.
You know, if anything, Ramos is tough, and he's able to hang in there. His last few bouts have gone the distance. But you see the taunting from Ramos.
Stop.
And he's caused Meza's nose to leak. A lot of blood here once again in this 5th round.
Well, Meza's nose is leaking because he's allowing Ramos to stay in the game. You just got to get him out of there, man.
That's got to do wonders from a confidence perspective for Ramos.
Absolutely. You know, Ramos sees that blood and it may give him some extra motivation because that blood has been flowing pretty good here the last minute. And he's taken a few counter shots that his corner probably doesn't want him to take.
Blood is splashing on us, bro.
I was wondering why Gabe had the tablecloth. I thought maybe you were
he was cold.
Nah, I'm shocked.
He's just the veteran.
That blood coming over here.
Veteran move from Gabe Rosado.
But the crazy thing is when he fight, he never shied away from blood. Now he's a commentator and he's over here. He's over here covering up.
I wish you'd let the rookie know.
I got that leather on. I got that leather on right now.
was ever a fighter that didn't shy away from blood or a tough fight, it was you, Gabe.
Yeah, man, I don't mind blood in the fight.
Nice right hand there from Meza.
Wasn't a lot of effective scoring this round, but it was a rough round for both guys, especially Meza.
So we're through 5. How do you see this one, guys?
It's bloody.
It's definitely bloody. Joel Diaz is definitely very animated right now as he talks to Meza, trying to stop that flow of the blood. And as you can see here, Meza's trying to walk him down, but he's getting countered a little bit, and I think he's taking punches that he shouldn't be taking, as you can see right there, that open the nose back up.
How do you see this one, Gabe?
Yeah, you know, Meza, I got him up on the scorecards. I just feel like, he's taking unnecessary shots because he's not just stepping on the gas and getting this guy out of there.
Is that a mentality thing?
You got to understand it. You're the boxer in the ring. Ramos is coming from the MMA world. You know what I mean? Let him know you don't belong in my world. Get him out of there.
So this is the 6th and final round here. Javier Meza.
For a second there, I thought his trainer was going to go out there for center ring with him.
Luciano Ramos. Let's see if Meza can let his hands go, as Gabe Rosado just mentioned. Nice combination there from Meza.
That combination right there. Keep throwing combinations.
Mouthpiece is out.
Stop.
You know what? And Meza did something a lot of young fighters won't do. He waited for the referee to break the action. He actually went after him to continue fighting, and I like that.
Ready? Listo? Box.
Nice counter there from Ramos with
Meza's
the jab.
Meza's a lot more accurate this round.
No, suelta la cabeza.
See, I would like to see Meza punch there. He accepted the clinch when both his hands were free. I would have liked to seen him punch there.
It's a double jab upstairs there from Meza. Tries to size up that uppercut. Comes back with a cross.
The swelling to the right eye of Ramos hasn't been a factor. It's definitely bruised.
Couple of big left hands there from Meza. Now he goes back to the body.
I like that they're keeping the fight on that side of the ring.
I concur.
You spoke too soon, my friend.
Meza's doing good work though here, man. He's letting his combinations go.
Definitely a better round than he's had. Not saying he didn't win the last 2 rounds.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
This is definitely a better round. I think his trainer's definitely going to be happy with this round. He's worked his jab. He's thrown good body shots. And he's covered up a lot better.
Uppercut lands there from Meza.
Ramos using that head right there. MMA tactics.
Uppercut lands there from Meza.
I think trainer Joel Diaz is a lot more encouraged after seeing this 6th round. And overall, I think it's a great learning experience for Meza.
So that's it. This one going to go to the judges. El Garito Javier Meza in his 3rd professional bout, taking on Luciano Ramos, who's got the MMA background, hailing from Buenos Aires.
Got the MMA shorts.
Well, we knew coming in that he wasn't going to go laying down.
No, and you can see why that he hasn't been stopped. That his 6 of his 7 losses have been by decision. He's definitely a durable guy.
Let's see if he had enough to win this one. Go back to the replay, show you the end of that last 6th round.
Yeah, Meza, you know, he was working, letting his combinations go. That was a good left hand. And what I like is that he didn't stay much in the pocket. He was throwing punches from a distance, rolling in and out and using angles, and that's what helped him have a more successful round.
Absolutely. You know, it took him a few rounds to do that, but I'm glad he finished up like that, and I'm sure his trainer's happy about that.
Meza was able to cause some damage to that right eye of Ramos, but nothing significant. Ramos causing some blood to come from Meza's nose, which was a hindrance for the final 3 rounds in this one.
It was almost a hindrance to our partner here, Gabe, because that blood almost messed up his jacket.
It got to my notes, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, yeah, my Bausch's are bloody right now. It's crazy.
Me and Rashawn were looking at you like, is Gabe cold over here? Is he hiding something underneath the table?
Man, that's experience, man.
So this one to the judges, and here's the decision.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, after 6 rounds, we go to the scorecards, and here are the scoring totals. Both Johnny Davis and Pam Hayashida score it 60-54. Ron Stevens has it 59-55. All for your winner by unanimous decision and still undefeated, Javier El Gallito Meza.
Fairly convincing win there for El Gallito as he improves to 3-0 on his young career. Winning by unanimous decision. That's now 7 straight defeats for Ramos by unanimous decision. He showed the durability, but not enough to get into the win column.
And at the end of the day, you know, you want to win. It's your 3rd pro fight. You fought a really rough guy, and he finished the fight stronger than when he started, and that's always a good look.
And how much of a confidence boost is this for Meza now? Fighting an unorthodox fighter.
For sure, you know, he was, you know, and Ramos, you know, he was tough, he was rugged, but, you know, Meza did what he had to do. He made some adjustments in that last round. He was able to fight off angles and create distance to land his combinations.
Yeah, and as you can see, that Ramos is, you know, he's kind of a wild swinger, and even when he drops down, he's still going to try to come up and hit you with something, and then he's going to lean in and push in with his head, and that's where it gets a little dangerous. And as to your point earlier, I thought that Meza early in the middle rounds took some shots that he shouldn't have taken.
And this was enough for Meza to improve to 3-0 in his career. First win for him that went past the 2nd round. None of his fights have gone past 2 rounds, but he improves to 3-0. More from Long Beach coming up right after this.
It's time to transform your It's time to up your web game. Infinite reality. See what's possible.
The sun sets in beautiful Long Beach, as it's our scene tonight. Thunder Studios, Paco presents boxing live on the Zone. We're through 3 fights of a scheduled 6 here tonight on this Friday night, alongside Gabe Rosado, Mike Rodriguez, I'm Rashawn Haylock, and we're through 3. That second one, man, they were letting those hands fly there. Roy Cano able to come up with his pro debut. It ended up being a draw, but both those guys are able to get after it.
Absolutely, and I think Serrano made a good account for himself. Cano will learn from this. I think our first 3 fights this has kind of set the stage for the next 3 fights that we're going to call here. In Long Beach, Snoop Dogg, home of Snoop Dogg, he was on the cover of Time magazine.
Our last one saw Javier Meza defeat Luciano Ramos in a unanimous decision. Time now for fight number 4.
Tonight up in the VIP area, come on by, grab yourself a drink and say hello. Enjoy your evening tonight here at Thunder Studios. It's all brought to you by Paco Presents, an evening of world-class boxing for all you fight fans out there this evening. And of course, the world-famous DJ Ray spinning live for you tonight. Thanks again for coming out tonight, Ray.
Our next bout will be Sonny Robledo against Dante Ettore. It'll go 8 rounds in the super lightweight division. That'll be fight number 4 of 6 here.
Really looking forward to this fight.
This one you're looking forward to, Mike.
Yeah, we had a chance to talk to both guys yesterday. They're both very competent. One's undefeated. One's only once beaten. I think Ettore's stepping up a little bit in class. He's got a little bit more power than Robledo, and I think that's going to make for a very interesting fight.
Yeah, it's Ettore and Robledo should be an interesting one here tonight. Ettore coming out of Vegas. He was getting ready for his next fight when this fight came up, and he said, of course I'll take it. Visit L.A., visit Long Beach. Why not?
Yeah, he had 2 fights on the schedule, so I know he wants to concentrate on what's going on tonight. Robledo's the hometown kid. He's the pride of San Fernando Valley. He wanted to make sure that we mention that, and he wants to make a good showing so he can take that next step. Maybe next time out, he's the co-main event or the main event.
We're through 3 fights of a scheduled 6. Let's take a look at what's gone on so far here tonight. Diaz with a second-round TKO of Gonzalez to start the night. Cano and Serrano ended in a draw. In the last fight we saw, Meza and Ramos ends up being a win for Javier Meza in a unanimous decision. First time Meza has been in a fight that's gone past 2 rounds. So up next is Robledo and Ettore.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The next fight tonight, 8 rounds of super lightweight action. And first to make his way to the ring, fighting out of the blue corner from Las Vegas, Dante Ettore.
Dante Ettore, 11-1-2, 7 knockouts. Comes out of Las Vegas, a native of Ohio. He goes by the Architect, Mike. And a great tribute to a loved one.
Yes, absolutely. His father passed away when he was 2 years old. He said he was an established architect. So when he decided to become a fighter because of his sister and getting beaten up by his older brothers, he did that to honor his father. He's a nice young man. He dyed his beard blue, and he's ready to go.
They said the beard changes for every fight. A little Dennis Rodman-esque there, if you will. Long-time former professional basketball player. So here's Ettore, 5'11", 26-year-old. His last fight was a win by unanimous decision over Habib Shoyet back in February, a fight in Salem, Oregon.
Way to the ring. Here's the undefeated super lightweight from Mission Hills, Sonny Robledo.
7 Sonny Bear Robledo, 10-0. 3 of those wins coming by knockout from nearby Mission Hills. 5'10", 143-pound southpaw, 22-year-old. His last win came by unanimous decision over Matt Gaver out in the City of Industry at the Pacific Palms Resort. This was back in September.
And Mission Hills, right in the heart of the San Fernando Valley. When we talked to him, he said that he has a lot more power than his record indicates, than his 3 KOs, and he's going to be up against a good test tonight in Ettore.
So to be the Bear against the Architect, Robledo against Ettore. Robledo, 22 years old. Ettore, 26 years old.
And I'm mad at both of them for one being 22 and one being 26. That really makes me mad.
Those are some good years.
Were was the key word there.
For sure.
And here we go once again, ladies and gentlemen. 8 rounds scheduled. This in the super lightweight division. It is brought to you by Paco Presents in association with Don Chargan Productions. The 3 judges at ringside are Johnny Davis, Ham Hayashida, and Ron Stevens. And inside the ring, your referee in charge of the action, Sharon Sands. Introducing to you first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black trimmed in yellow. He weighed in 145 pounds. His professional record outstanding, 11 victories, just 1 defeat, 2 draws, and 7 wins, coming by way of knockout from Las Vegas, Nevada. Here is Dante, the Architect.
Hope everybody's enjoying the fights. We got a lot going on. We got baseball, NBA playoffs, NFL draft. Feel free to jump in the chat and talk to me about it on Twitch or on YouTube. Same name on both. Go by the same name everywhere. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe, thumbs up, and tap those reactions. We will have more fights coming up this year through Creator Sports Network. And if you're on Twitch and you're lurking, yeah, follow up. I stream daily, and we're always talking sports. All right, let me get out of the way. We'll watch our next fight.
Mission Hills, California, the undefeated Sonny Robledo.
Both guys are definitely ready for this fight. They're both excited about the fight. You can almost see the excitement in their face.
All right, here's the belt line.
Large contingent here for Sonny Robledo.
Gentlemen, watch your
Here
heads in
tonight
this fight
from nearby
and
Mission
watch
Hills,
your
of course,
feet.
not too
Protect yourself
far
at
from
all
here, around the
times,
San
obey
Fernando
all
Valley.
touch gloves
So he's
and
got a
come
large
after the
fan base here, and they're looking for him to continue this undefeated streak to start his career. 10-0, 3 wins coming by knockout. Ettore, 11-1-2, 7 coming by knockout. Robledo in the white and silver trunks. Ettore in the black with the gold trim.
And this will be our first fight tonight where we have a conventional right-hander against a lefty, a southpaw.
Robledo the southpaw. This one's scheduled for 8 rounds.
Watch your heads.
Dante already landed some good right hands. One to the body and a nice little short right uppercut.
He's got 7 knockouts, so on paper, he would be the fighter you would think would have the better power.
Hands are free. Let him go, Dante. Stop! Let him go. I tell you, let him go, let him go.
Oh, the ref don't like clinching.
No, I've seen her. I've been a part of some fights that she has ref. She is not a big fan of clinching. My thing is, it's professional boxing.
Yeah.
Not clinching, but clinching and effective holding is not illegal till it becomes excessive.
And it's not even a minute into the first round, and she's already, yelling about the clinching. So.
Yeah, I'd like to see the fight, have a little bit of a rhythm first before we start admonishing guys.
Sharon Sands, our referee tonight. A couple of quick jabs there from Ettore.
Robledo seems to not catch a rhythm yet. Dante got a nice, decent jab, quick little short right counter.
And that might have been because the first 15, 20 seconds of the fight, I think he got hit with a couple of punches. I'm not going to say surprised him,
Yeah.
but it happened a little bit more early on than he thought.
No, for sure. You know, Dante's starting the round, starting to fight pretty fast. You know, really not even warming up into it.
Watch your heads. Hands are free. Stop. 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 Come on.
We're going to hear that. We're going to hear that a few times, Rashawn. I guarantee you, over the next 8 rounds.
We heard it quite a bit in the last one too, especially in the early going in that one. In the Ramos fight, Ramos and Meza affair we just saw here.
I don't know if one jab from Robledo as he follows Ettore around the ring is going to be that effective.
Ooh, that was a nice left hand that Robledo landed.
Ettore staggered there a bit.
Yeah, for sure. He definitely did. You know, Dante has to keep this movement and that jab busy. Keep the jab busy. There you go.
He must have heard you.
You know, double up the jab as well.
I do like the way Robledo's changing level with his legs and his shoulders a little bit and giving him some different angles. He's the taller guy, and he appears to have a little bit longer reach.
Robledo in the corner, and Ettore fighting right back.
Is that 10 seconds? 10 seconds.
Chance of Sonny here from the crowd.
That was a pretty tight round.
Yeah, it definitely was. Ettore got off to a really good start, but I think Robledo settled down in the last part of the round.
Yeah, right here, Dante lands a good straight straight right hand. Staying active with it. And in the beginning part of the round, you know, I felt Dante was in control, but then Robledo got aggressive in the later round and might have evened it up.
Absolutely. Right as I even said that I thought he was following him a little bit, not being busy enough, he landed a good combination.
Take a look at Dante Ettore's corner. James Smith is trainer. Otisha Dunbar, cut man.
Dante got that Smurf look.
Marcos Caballero.
I think we have a typo because that's veteran cutman Saul Ochoa as the cutman. Unless something's going on that I don't know about, that is definitely Saul Ochoa.
Well, you would know. You're the crime-fighting cut man, Mike.
Yeah, that was given to me by Oscar De La Hoya's brother, Joel De La Hoya. He saw me on the news working a crime scene, and he posted something on the internet that when I'm not stopping cuts, I'm solving crime. And that just kind of stuck over the years. One thing to note in Robledo's corner is former light heavyweight champ and silver medal Olympian Virgil Hill, who was primetime TV in the 1980s. Was Freddie Roach's actually first world champion. And you know a little bit about Freddie Roach, don't you, Gabe?
No, for sure, man. You know, right now, Dante, he's staying in the pocket a little more with the guard up. I like to see him more on his toes and jabbing.
And that could be because maybe he doesn't, because of the 3 KOs, maybe he doesn't respect Robledo's power.
Probably the largest contingent, and at the very least the loudest of any of the fighters we've had so far tonight. Here for Sonny Robledo.
Yeah, he definitely has a following. He gets all his sparring in over at Wild Card, where there's always great sparring. Gabe, I don't think Ettore's being busy enough. I think he's posturing a little much, and it's not really very effective.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I don't like that he got into this stance. The first round, he was on his feet. He was moving around. He was jabbing. You know, he was boxing. And I like that style better. I think that style was giving Robledo, you know, some complications.
It's definitely less on the attack than he was back in that first round.
Yeah, because, you know, when Dante's on this stance, he's allowing Robledo to then create offense. Robledo starts slipping and rolling and looking for an opening.
And if I'm fighting in somebody else's home region or hometown, I think in my mind, I gotta have a little bit more output.
For sure, definitely.
Landed a nice jab there, did Ettore. But he was pushing forward. He was throwing quick punches back in that last round. Now more on his heels.
Yeah, and I don't understand, like, why you ain't popping that jab? You know, if you're Dante, pop that jab from the outside.
And a nice combo to the body there from Ettore.
I don't think it was enough to win the round.
Exactly, Mike. I don't know if that was enough.
I think Robledo controlled that round. Sometimes, though, it helps when you have a flashy combination at the end of the round. That's the last thing the judge has seen.
You know, right here, Dante, you know, playing the ropes, but Robledo just letting his hands go. Dante just throwing one shot to Robledo's combinations. That was a good right hand right there by Dante. But, you know, it was a tight round.
Take a look inside the corner of Dante Ettore.
And I got to tell him, they got to be telling him that he's got to be a little bit busier. It's an 8-round fight. We're coming up into round 3. And if he wants to win these rounds, he's going to have a little bit more output. Conditioning doesn't seem to be an issue. We're heading into the 4th round, and both these guys are not even breathing hard.
Robledo in the white and silver trunks. Ettore in the black. You see if Ettore can kind of go back to being the aggressor like he was in that opening round. Trying to work the jab there, Ettore.
And you know, if the jab's working, why aren't you putting on overtime? Put that jab on overtime.
Comes back with a little combination there, Ettore.
See, this is good. This is good boxing right here by Dante. Just keep it consistent. Right here in between. Yeah, keep that jab out. Even if the jab ain't landing, just keep it out there. There we go. Pop that jab. You know, it's Robledo to do something about it. Robledo doesn't have an answer for it. They keep popping the jab.
Robledo's trying to keep that center of the ring, and I think he's doing a good job of that. And he's putting Dante a little bit on the defensive.
But, you know, I like Dante on the outside jabbing. I like to see him a little more busy with the jab, a little more busy with the combinations. But that's right there, that step back, quick jab, quick right uppercut. That was nice right there by Dante.
Yeah, now he's picked up the pace just a little bit.
Another jab there from Ettore.
See, if I'm Robledo, I'm picking up the body language by Dante. As soon as Dante puts his guard up like that, says tempo, he ain't throwing nothing. So right there is when I'm going to throw my combinations. Dante's only throwing shots when his hands are in front of him, away from his face. But when he puts his guard up, he ain't doing nothing.
Absolutely, and that's kind of a tell when you watch a fighter. It's kind of a stop-start thing. You can kind of tell when he's he's going to stop and when he's going to start.
Yep. See, once that lead hand is away from his face is when Dante wants to throw. But when he puts that lead hand right there by his temple, he's not throwing.
Now they pick up the action a little bit. I'd like to see Robledo throw a little bit more than just the jab. He has yet to put like a 3-punch combination together.
And, you know, if I'm Robledo, you know, do a feint, allow Dante to jab, and then hook with him. You know, you have to make your opponent bite on something where you can then counter. That's a good combination right there by Robledo.
Definitely a good body shot as we close the round. They're starting to get a little bit closer to each other as we come into the 4th round.
For sure.
Uppercut there from Robledo to end the round. As we head to the 4th. Maybe a little bit of swelling there.
You see
for Robledo.
You see Cutman Serge Estrada there addressing that swelling. with 2 devices there on the left cheek and above the right eye, doing everything he's supposed to do so it doesn't become a problem. And sometimes you have to address more than one trauma.
You know, right here, Dante diving in. Robledo throws a quick 1-2 combination. But right here, you know, Robledo diving in. That was a nice short counter uppercut by Dante. Nice short stuff.
They picked up the pace there. It seemed to be like the last 30 seconds, and I'd like to see that continue in the 4th round.
So we start the 4th round here in Long Beach. Sonny Robledo and Dante Ettore.
And you know, look, Robledo puts himself in a punching stance, but then he ain't throwing. He's you know, he's watching too much of what Dante's trying to do rather than just be in control and be first.
Yeah, he seems a little bit hesitant to pull the trigger on some shots, and I think it's allowing Dante to get in better positions where he wants to be.
For sure.
Like right here, it's just, I think he got to be busy. He's got
you got to jab to the body, you got to jab up top, throw some combinations.
And he's going to have to take a few more risks if he wants to win these rounds convincingly.
Trying to work the jab once more, Ettore. Double jab now. Robledo pushes forward. Robledo has Ettore on the ropes. But Ettore comes right back with a body shot.
You see, when they're fencing with each other, Dante has the advantage. But when Robledo pushes Dante back to the ropes and lets his hands go, he's the one that has the advantage. So Robledo has to be more aggressive and let his combinations go.
Yeah, I think he's being a little bit too cautious. He's got to take a few chances here because Ettore's a very sturdy kid.
For sure.
He seems to be very comfortable in the ring, and he likes to get in that posture right there where he can stop and start.
Yep. Dante's rhythm is this kind of pace. But if Robledo pushes the action, that's when you take Dante out of his comfort zone.
Absolutely. Robledo looks like he's waiting for that one perfect opening or one perfect shot, and I think he...
Stop! Okay.
Dante's corner telling him to watch the feint. We've seen Robledo do that a couple of times.
You know, and the thing that Robledo needs to do is simple. Jab, jab, right hand. Jab, jab, excuse me, because he's southpaw. Jab, jab, left hand. Jab, jab, left hand. But as he did right there, the shots are going to land. He's thinking too much to let your hands go.
And Ettore pushes forward there after being on the ropes.
See right here, Robledo needs to cut the gap, double the jab, straight left.
And Robledo definitely is the more comfortable fighter on the inside.
Approaching 10 seconds.
He seems able to let his hands go a little bit more fluid when they're close. I think Gabe's putting that trainer hat on.
You know, it's frustrating because Robledo's in position to throw, but he's not pulling the trigger.
So through 4 rounds, how do you guys see it?
It's an even fight. I got it pretty much even.
I agree, because most of these rounds, each guy could have an argument that they won the round. Nobody has pulled away yet, and as we've seen in some of the other fights, it just depends what the judges like. Do they want effective aggression? Do they want a guy that can box a little more? But we're coming into the second half of the fight. And as you can see, Robledo's a little bit more comfortable on the inside. Dante gets in a little bit more of a defensive posture. And like Gabe said earlier, when a guy gets in that defensive posture and he puts his gloves up, that's when you need to punch.
Exactly. And, you know, that's part of learning. If you're Robledo, you need to catch rhythms and you got to catch patterns of a fighter. You know, like I said, every time that Dante has his guard up like that, he's not throwing. And that's when you have to be busy. That's when you have to throw combinations.
Round 5 here from the Thunder Studios in Long Beach. Robledo putting his undefeated 10-0 record on the line against Dante Ettore.
We're enjoying the fights, and so are a lot of other people. I just got a message from Wild Card from Marie Spivey and Freddie Roach, who knows really well that they're watching with trainer Marvin Samodio, an undefeated prospect from Sacramento, Kane Sandoval. Hello to you all, and hopefully you're enjoying these Friday night fights.
Robledo's got Ettore on the ropes again, connects with the big right.
That was a nice right hook, straight left by Robledo. And if he keeps up that pace, you know, he'll win the rounds more decisively.
And to your point, when he's got Ettore on the ropes there, he's definitely been more effective.
And what's frustrating for me, if you know that you're successful when you're letting your hands go, why are you not staying busy? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, like we said earlier, he's being a little cautious because there are definitely openings when he is trying to be a little bit more aggressive.
And you know, Mike, at this point in your career, when you're up and coming, you ain't got no time to be playing with your food. You know, you gotta stay busy. You gotta show your hunger. You gotta show that you're willing to do whatever it takes to win a fight.
Absolutely.
Ettore backing up against the ropes, and we've seen this is where Robledo has had success. Well, Ettore able to slip out of there that time.
The one thing I noticed, though, is if you watch, Ettore is not throwing that many punches anymore. Where he's letting Robledo kind of lead, and I think there's more openings for Robledo, and I think it's right there for him to even enhance his performance.
What happens when they get in the middle of the ring when Robledo's aggressiveness starts to subside, Gabe?
Well, when they get in the middle of the ring, this is what Dante wants. Dante wants this pace. You know, Dante wants this pace. Dante's he kind of has Robledo believing that he's a sharp counterpuncher, but he really ain't. You know, when Dante's landing shots is when he's diving in first, but he's really not controlling the pace with counters.
Absolutely, and every time Robledo does something, because he does have a large contingent, a large crowd here tonight, they're reacting to all that, and you just never know how that influences the judges.
And that reaction is loud, Mike, to your point. From nearby Mission Hills, a large contingent here making the trip down 405 to Long Beach. And there's Robledo. And Ettore countering right back. Ettore lunging forward now as they clinch. Big left there from Ettore. And we're through 5.
Ettore threw a few more punches there at the end of the round. I think he needs to be a lot busier. The rounds are competitive, but I think Robledo's pulling out most of these rounds.
No, he is. He's a little more busier. And you know, Dante is on the counter stance, trying to look for openings. You know, right here, Robledo's being aggressive, letting combinations go, and this is what he needs to do. Stay busy, keep Dante on his back foot.
Absolutely, and as you notice, most people, when their backs against the ropes and they're not in a really good defensive position, they're more susceptible to getting hit and having those punches having a bigger impact. Both guys in great shape, though. Neither one of them are breathing hard or showing much wear and tear, ill effects of the fight so far.
Robledo's last 3 wins have come by unanimous decision. He went 8 rounds against Jose Angulo and won that one as well.
You know, what kind of frustrates me a bit watching this fight is that both fighters could do a lot more. There's so many opportunities that both fighters are missing out on. You know, Robledo could be a lot more busier, applying pressure, but then again, Dante could just be popping that jab and throwing combinations as well. They're both not taking advantage.
The fighter we saw in the first round, Dante Ettore, have not seen that fighter since. Here's Robledo, big right hand. Now Ettore turns the corner. Robledo comes right back. Both fighters throwing hands to the amusement of this crowd here in Long Beach.
And that's good to see because I think Dante needs to be a lot more busier. Dante has a good jab. He just doesn't follow it up with much, and sometimes when he does throw his right hand, he gets off balance, and it doesn't put him in a position to follow up with more effective punches.
I agree, Mike. He's diving in too far when he's throwing that right hand.
And the one thing when a righty fights a lefty, when one of them dives in, there's a good chance that they're going to clash heads. And those are things that I always watch out for.
Yep.
Ettore trying to go with a big right there. Unsuccessfully. Double jab there from Ettore.
It's definitely a competitive fight. These guys are evenly matched. There's great matchmaking. Paco's Presents has done a great job putting this card together because every single fight has been very, very competitive, and if not competitive, it's been compelling.
Continuing to see minimal swelling from Robledo.
Let him go, Dante. No.
I ain't mad at that. I ain't mad at that at all. Dante, you know, he turned his body over, and Robledo's just letting his hands go.
And if the referee don't break you, as long as you're not doing it intentionally behind the head,
sure.
Sometimes the guys put themselves in bad position.
Yep.
Jab there from Robledo.
And right before that, Robledo landed a nice, good, straight left hand. Another competitive round, but I still think Robledo's getting the better of the action.
No, he is. You know, Dante got good movement, and it's a shame that he doesn't let his hands go. Because he puts himself in good position to counter, but he doesn't make Robledo pay.
10 seconds.
Dante missing on a big left hand there.
3 rounds to go. I think this fight is up for grabs. I think Robledo's probably slightly in the lead, and I think this next round is going to bear a lot of fruit for one guy when it comes to a decision when they look back on who wins this fight. Everybody must be loving the fights, Rayshawn and Gabe, because they keep texting me. I just got a text from great boxing manager Rick Marigian, whose stable is so big I wouldn't have time in between the rounds, but you're looking at Virgil Ortiz, Bam Rodriguez, Jose Ramirez, Arnold Barbosa. He's a great manager. He does good things for his fighters, and he always fights for his fighters, and that's what I love.
Round 7.
Are we in round 6 or 7?
Here we go with round 7 from Long Beach.
You know, there's simple things that both fighters can add to their game. They'll make their job a lot easier. You know, Robledo, if he was to slip and throw shots off the slip, you know, one thing is that he comes straight in. There's no slipping. There's no double jab.
That's a great point, because I think because he doesn't do that, then he ends up tying himself up, and he gets susceptible to the clinch.
For sure.
And if he did slip, he could throw some really slick punches and keep Ettore at the end of those shots.
Yes. See right there, you know, he missed the opportunity of a counter. And then, you know, since Robledo isn't slipping, that's why Dante should be popping that jab, because you already know that the head is going to be right there in the center all day. There's no slipping. There's no head movement.
And I think that's why they end up, after 4 or 5 seconds or a few punches, they end up having to clinch every single time.
Exactly. Both fighters are not understanding the range or the head movement.
Yeah, everything ends up where they're actually falling on top of each other. And I think it lends itself to less clean punching, and it's just going to be depending what the judges see and how they see it.
There's a left from the southpaw. Dante counters right back with the right.
That was a good counter by Dante on that one, because Robledo kind of came in head first, and his punches landed a little bit short.
Swelling increasing, more noticeably under that left eye of Robledo.
Yes, the last couple of rounds it has. Because we only have 1 round left, it should not be a factor. If it was a 12-round fight, maybe, as he lands a good left hand.
And Ettore dodging punches there.
And you know, one thing, Mike, that Robledo's doing, when he throws combinations, his body, his body is is too forceful into the punch. You know, you got to be compact and throw that punch from the hip.
Absolutely, and you actually lose power by doing that because you're not very crisp or snappy, and you're not going to have the guy at the end of your shot.
Ettore missing on a big right hand there.
I think Dante's had a better round of countering this round.
Some body punches there from Robledo.
I don't think his aggression has been that effective, though, this round, or as effective as it has been in the past.
No, for sure. I think he's just a little more off balance in this round, and Dante's throwing some good counters.
10 seconds, guys.
Hey, what's up, Matt and Hot Boy Q? Good to see you guys. I don't know what's going on with my red chat. I'm not seeing it pop across. What are we doing taking Monroe? Jason, I mean, I know you're saying you don't hate it. Neither do I, but, I mean, we just signed Locke. We just traded for Hal. Those things happened in the last calendar year. What's Schneider doing, right? I mean, maybe he didn't know somebody was going to be available later on that he had a high grade on, but I don't like that. I feel like we could have probably got a starter for right guard or center, not have to roll with Timmy, and now we're taking Monroe. It just seems like a luxury gadget pick. We still need another receiver, I think.
And as you see here,
yeah, I don't know. I'm very confused as to what Seattle's doing with that. Been loving the draft, but here we go. Schneider getting cute. At least it's late in the third round, but it is what it is.
Absolutely.
All right, I had to pop on and whine a minute. If his issues were mechanics, you could see it. I mean, if you're looking at Hal, he's on the 3-year deal, right? So maybe he supplants Hal, and you don't re-sign Sam if he doesn't earn a second contract with us. I just hate that we just signed Locke, because that could have been used for a veteran offensive lineman. You know, maybe we could have sweetened the pot for one of those guys that was starter worthy. And, I mean, I know Sam Howell, I guess we just gave up on him from that Packers game, but we gave up a 4th and a 6, right? I think. I know we got some picks back, but I'm pretty sure that was the equivalent of what we gave up. So I hope they can cash in some of these quarterbacks on the roster, because it seems like you got 5 guys on the roster. I don't think Hall's going to make it as anything, but we got 4 guys on there. Sam Howell is butt. Yeah, sorry Automod held that up, but
while they were in the clinch, he landed a couple uppercuts.
I don't disagree, Jason. But John Schneider's the guy that just took him. You know, just took him in trade. Now we're relying on Schneider to draft somebody. I don't know, man. I'm confused. But, hey, give something to talk about. I'm looking forward to the Madden stream where everybody's like, hey, Milroe should start for you guys as soon as Darnold has a rough game. All right, I'll get out of the way for a minute and chat it up with you.
It's one of those things where fighters need to understand that you punch with your feet. You punch with your feet.
Absolutely.
And one thing that Robledo doesn't understand is the distance. Put yourself in position and fire from position, but he's falling in way too much.
And that's prevented him from keeping Ettore at the end of his shots. And not only just those shots, setting himself up defensively and to be able to throw more effective punches.
Footwork is so important. You know, if you want to understand footwork, you watch fighters like Crawford, you watch fighters like Andre Ward that understand distance, understand range.
Oh, big time uppercut there from Ettore. Oh, he lands another one. And a right hook. Ettore with the left.
That definitely got
another right there from Ettore.
And those punches right there might have got the round for Dante.
Those are the hardest punches the last 3 or 4 rounds from either fighter. Robledo's both sides of his cheeks are really swelling up.
Some dynamic power punches landed there by Ettore. And he comes right back with the jab and the right cross.
Nice overhand right by Dante.
I almost want to see 2 more rounds. Can we tell each guy they're going 2 more rounds?
Can we give the signal?
We'll have Gabe cut the check. Give them 2 more rounds.
Well, you know what? If it's a draw, they should fight 1 more round.
I wish they would do that.
Right?
Overtime.
Oh, big left. Oh, he hurt Robledo there.
Big left hook.
That might be the deciding factor of the round right there, that big left hand.
And I guarantee you, regardless of how the decision comes out, both guys are going to think they won the fight.
And the nose is bloodied of Robledo. Uppercut lands there from Ettore. Misses on the left.
Been a good fight.
And this one will go to the cards.
That was Dante's round.
Absolutely. I thought Dante might have won the last 2 rounds, probably the first round. A couple of those swing rounds in the middle are going to be the deciding factor.
Let's see if it was enough. Dante, the architect, Ettore, named the architect as an homage to his late father who passed away when he was just 2 years old. Says he gets his toughness from his Polish mom, Pamela, who raised 5 kids all by herself after dad passed away. Or will it be Robledo continuing his undefeated mark on this young career of his? 10-0 coming into tonight.
And shout out to Dante's sister for taking him to the gym.
Right here, Robledo just diving in. Dante throwing some big wild shots, but he catches Robledo as he dives in right here with a nice short. But that was a long right uppercut, by the way.
Absolutely. But Robledo left himself open and vulnerable to those shots that he didn't need to take. And there you see Dante right there. I think he's very happy with his performance.
It's his birthday week. He just turned 26 this past Sunday on Easter. And hoping to cap it off with a win here in Long Beach. Robledo looking to make it 11-0.
The judges have their hands full with this fight. There's a lot of times we can watch a fight, as you see former world champion Virgil Hill. A lot of times it's clear cut. The judges have their hands full with this one.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 8 rounds of action, we go to the scorecards. Judge Johnny Davis scores the contest even, 76-76. Pam Hayashida has it 78-74. Ron Stevens, 79-73. Your winner by majority decision and still undefeated, Sonny Robledo.
Those cards were a little wide for me, but Ettore to me wasn't busy in the middle of the fight.
Absolutely. You know, I agree with the decision. I feel that Dante he was boxing well in spots, but I feel that Robledo was more busy, more active in the fight.
And I think Dante is going to look at some of those rounds and maybe rounds 3 and 4. And I'm not going to say kick himself in the butt, but I think he could have did more. Robledo also, I think there's a lot that he has to take from this fight that he has to get better at.
And you know, Mike, let's just be real. In boxing, when you fight somebody in their backyard, you got to do more than that. It's just the reality.
You know a little bit something about that, I'm sure,
for
correct?
sure. You got to do more than that.
Sometimes you were even in your own backyard and things got a little bit funny.
Yeah. But, you know, Robledo, he did well. Dante boxed well. Nothing, you know, it's a fight that he could definitely learn from and come back and be better.
I wouldn't mind seeing both guys as we come into the highlights here. You know, they were both ready to fight. They were both excited to fight. They were in the fighter meetings yesterday. They couldn't wait to get in the ring. They showed that. Their styles might not have matched up too much artistically, but they both wanted to win.
Yeah, and I think it was just a matter of Dante. He didn't stay disciplined to the game plan, which was he should have fought in the outside and boxed a little more. And you know, Robledo, he just stood active with more combinations. He was a little more sloppy, but he was just he was the fighter that came off like he wanted to win. He wanted it more.
Absolutely. He was busier. He was a little bit more aggressive. It wasn't always effective, I'm sure, as he wanted it. I would be real interested to see how they scored those last 2 rounds, because one of the judges only had Dante winning 1 round, and I thought he won more than 1 round.
Yeah, that's crazy. You know, it was definitely a much closer fight than by 1. You know, I think maybe 2. It's a tight fight.
Our co-featured bout coming up next. Justin Viloria and Alejandro Young will step aside from Long Beach.
It's time to transform your website. grow. It's time to up your web game. Infinite reality. See what's possible.
Welcome back to the Thunder Studios in the city they call Long Beach. Time now for our co-featured bout between Justin Chosen Viloria, putting his undefeated record on the line, coming in at 8-0 against Alejandro Chinito Young, Rashawn Haylock, Gabe Rosado, Mike Rodriguez. That last fight we just saw between Ettore and Robledo, what a fight.
Yeah, and it actually put the judges for the first time tonight, I think, to the test besides the Serrano fight. I'm really looking forward to this fight right here because I think both guys are stepping up in class. Viloria is a really hot prospect. You get a guy from Mexico, from Los Mochis, Mexico. You know he's battle-tested down there, and I think the next two fights, both fights, they got a lot to prove.
That one's scheduled for 8 rounds to be our co-featured bout tonight. We go back to the last one, though. Ettore, who we saw in the first round, who we saw in the last round, to you guys' point, not necessarily who we saw in those middle rounds, and that may have cost him here tonight.
Yeah. You know, Dante, man, he has boxing ability. He just didn't take advantage of it. You know, he got too much of staying in the pocket, guard up, and every time he kept his guard up, you know, he's not throwing punches. And Robledo just stood busy and he stood active. And I think he won the fight simply by just out-hustling Dante.
And that's a good point, out-hustling. I think, to your point, Dante kind of posed and postured a little bit too much.
For sure.
So we head now inside the ring to our ring announcer, Joe Martinez.
Ladies and gentlemen, as two nations come together tonight for our co-main event this evening, we ask that you please rise as we honor both Mexico and the USA with their respective national anthems. First, joining us to sing El Himno Nacional de Mexico, please welcome two-time nominated Mexican Grammy winner, Il Danza.
Buenas noches, México. Un honor para mí cantar el himno nacional mexicano en esta patria que no es la nuestra, pero como si lo fuera. Canten conmigo. Mexicanos al grito de guerra, el acero aprestad y el bridón, y retiembla en sus centros la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. Y retiembla en sus centros la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. Ciño patria tus sienes y oliva de la paz del arcángel divino, que en el cielo tu eterno destino por el dedo de Dios escribió. Mas si osare un extraño enemigo profanar con su planta tu suelo, piensa, oh patria querida, que el cielo un soldado en cada hijo te dio, un soldado en cada hijo te dio. Mexicanos al grito de guerra, el acero a prestar y el bridón, y retiembla en sus centros la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. Y retiembla en sus centros la tierra tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. ¡Arriba los mexicanos!
And now please remain standing as we honor the United States of America with the playing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We are set to go our co-featured bout this evening. 8 rounds in the super featherweight division. And first to make his way to the ring, fighting out of the blue corner, from Los Mochis, Sinaloa, Mexico, Alejandro Young Wong.
Alejandro Young, Chinito, 12-1, 6 knockouts out of Los Mochis, Sinaloa, Mexico, making his United States debut. 5'9", 132-pounder. The records show his last fight was April of 2024, but in fact, he fought back in November. It was a 4-round knockout win.
You know, he's had some modest opposition in Mexico. You have to be honest when you look at the records. I think he's stepping up a little against Viloria, but it's going to be a very compelling, competitive fight.
And his opponent tonight, making his way to the ring, he is from Whittier, California. Here is the undefeated Justin Viloria.
Chosen, Justin Viloria, 8-0, 6 wins by knockout, fighting out of Whittier, 5'9", 131-pound southpaw, 20 years of age. Last time out was a first-round knockout win last month against Juan Centeno, right here at Thunder Studios. Comes from a boxing family. His uncle Brian, a champion and Olympian. So you go to the tail of the tape, you see his dad Dom there on the left, who was a 4-time or a champion in Muay Thai. Viloria 8-0, Young 12-1. Each of them have 6 knockouts. Young, 25 years of age. Viloria, 20 years of age.
And this is what you want to see. You want to see guys fighting other guys in compelling fights.
And now, fight fans, we are set to go our co-featured bout this evening. 8 rounds in the super featherweight division. The 3 judges scoring at ringside: Johnny Davis, Pam Hayashida, and Ron Stevens. And inside the ring, your referee in charge of the action, Ivan Guillermo. Introducing to you first, fighting out of the blue corner, Wearing red, trimmed in gold and blue, he weighed officially 132 pounds. In 13 professional fights, his record stands at 12 victories, 1 defeat, 6 wins coming by way of knockout. Presentando el hijo de los Mochis, Sinaloa, México, el Chinito, Alejandro Young. Aimed across the ring stands his opponent, fighting out of the red corner. Wearing turquoise trunks trimmed in white, he weighed officially 131 1/2 pounds. In 8 professional fights, he stands perfect in the ring. 8 victories, no defeats, 6 wins coming by way of knockout. He is the undefeated fighting pride of Whittier, California. Here is Justin Viloria.
Viloria, Juan, you both received your instructions in the locker room. Los dos recibieron sus instrucciones en sus cuartos. Both trunks are good. Los shorts están bien. Los voy a dejar trabajar hasta aquí. I'm going to let you work up to here, okay? Let's have a good, clean fight. We got 8 rounds. Good luck.
This is our co-featured bout, scheduled to go 8 rounds.
Juan, listo?
Our referee, Ivan Guillermo. And here we go. From Long Beach, Viloria in the light blue trunks with the white trim. Young in the red with the gold and blue trim.
These dudes look like brothers.
If you put Justin's brother, who was up at ringside, we could have triplets up here.
It's funny, man. They got similar styles, even though it's orthodox and southpaw.
Absolutely.
It's still similar stance. Oh, that's some good shots right there by Young. Good body shot.
Viloria with the body shot comes right back with the head.
Not much feeling out right now. They're feeling each other's gloves on each other's face.
And Chinito with a couple of quick rights.
Sometimes when people talk about who has the most power, I always say, and I've heard it said before, that it's whoever can take somebody else's best shot may have the best power.
Sure. You could tell that Viloria's mindset is to attack the body.
Absolutely. 6 knockouts in his 8 fights. He's not used to the fights really going the distance.
Big right there from Viloria.
And that body attack is opening up opportunities for him to land big shots.
Another big
top.
right there up top from the Chosen.
One of the things that I don't like that Chinito does is he pops his head up and pulls it back a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And Viloria made him pay for that.
And he's dedicated to that body right now. I'm not sure if he's dedicated to his girlfriend, but right now he's dedicated to that body.
Leads with the jab, comes right back with the strong left, does Viloria.
Those body shots are already bothering him.
Another body shot there from Viloria. The dedication is a real thing, as you mentioned.
I'm sure he's a very dedicated boyfriend as well.
Nice combination there, Viloria, but coming right back with a strong left is Young.
That was good.
More body shots.
That was good head movement right there by Viloria and throwing counters.
He's very well schooled. Like you said, he comes from that fighting family. They got a high fighting pedigree.
His Uncle Brian, 4-time world champion.
The Hawaiian punch.
Dad's got a background in Muay Thai.
If he don't know karate, I bet you he knows crazy.
His His dad, Dominic, is his trainer.
Right here, Viloria just walking this guy down. Good body blows right there, avoiding a left hook. And you know, Young was just pretty. He was stiff in this round, and Viloria was more agile doing combinations.
He's very stiff. He's very stiff, and I think as those body shots started to hit him, as you see him there in the corner, getting his instructions from the Montiel family, he's got to get better ratio than getting one and getting four back.
Manuel Montiel, his trainer, worked with him. They worked together in Mexico.
Viloria is very fluid. He seems like he knows what he wants to do, and he does it.
Nice combination there from Viloria. Comes right back, a strong left. Viloria to the body and upstairs.
We may end up
and he's
having
bothered Young.
We may have our first knockout tonight.
Viloria continuing to press forward. Big right hand, another one from Viloria.
And I think what's going to do it is the right hook from Viloria.
He needs to shorten it up just a hair. I think if he shortens that hook up just a hair, he'll catch him.
Young appeared to be bothered there for a bit. Another strong right there from Viloria. Another body shot, just ferocious.
I like the way that Justin goes away about setting up his punches.
And that uppercut snapped the neck back of Young.
See, the difference between the other fights and Viloria right now is Viloria knows how to put his offense together. He understands the distance, he understands range, and he understands the combinations.
And the range is the key that looks like he's separated himself from everybody else tonight.
There you go, work out of there. There you go.
You know, the thing about what separates fighters is imagination. How do you put things together? How do you visualize something and put it together? And you could tell Viloria has a good imagination of how he puts his punches together, man. It's like art in motion.
Absolutely. He's very fluid. He doesn't do the same thing 2 times in a row either.
Very measured in his approach.
And Alejandro seems very limited in what his arsenal is. And when he sets his feet, he can punch. But Viloria's not giving him that opportunity. Because every time he lands one, he's getting hit with 3 or 4.
Young comes with the uppercut, but Viloria right back, continuing to pounce. Viloria, another strong jab. Works the body some more.
That was some great body work underneath the elbows.
Under 30 seconds left. Round number 2 here in Long Beach. Our co-featured bout. Justin Viloria taking it to Chinito Young here.
And the thing is that Viloria, he closes the gap, but he doesn't smother himself. He knows just enough distance to throw his combinations.
Great point. And he's coming in offline too. Heck of a round for Viloria.
For sure.
To that point, Viloria looking like the much more polished fighter.
And you know the way Viloria is throwing his combinations from so many different angles, Young probably feels like he's getting rode on right now.
Absolutely. I mean, he's getting hit from bottom to top and top to bottom.
Yeah, you're getting punched from so many different angles. It's like, where are these punches coming from?
It's like getting hit by an octopus. And he's very stiff. Alejandro is very stiff, and I think that's really working to Viloria's advantage because he's so quick and smooth. And like you said, there's a rhyme to his reason.
For sure. You know, what I hope Young is footwork. You know, when Viloria gets off like that, you need to take a step back and then make Viloria reset. So every time you see that Viloria is about to throw a combination, step back, make him reset.
Watch your heads, watch your
One
heads.
thing that I like that Viloria is doing, every opportunity he gets, he's hitting Young downstairs.
Headbutt, no damage.
Referee Ivan Guillermo acknowledged that there was a headbutt. He took a look at both of them and said that there was no damage at this point.
Watch your heads, pull your arm out. There you go.
Ooh. Big right there, Viloria comes back with another. An uppercut there from Viloria.
And you know, the reason that left hook landed is because he threw it at that right hook. He threw it like he was going to throw it to the body.
Absolutely.
And he changed the range of the shot in the last second.
Head snap back there of Young. Viloria continuing to pounce. Goes to the body. Back upstairs. Viloria.
Young can't do anything right now to keep Viloria off of him.
Oh, that body shot
Viloria.
hurt.
Another body shot. Comes back upstairs with the right cross. And another right.
The
Viloria.
rest telling him he
uppercut.
needs to fight back to show him something. He's taking a lot of heavy shots right now.
This is what I like. Viloria's not playing with his food. He's going straight for the kill. And this is the statement you got to make when you're a young fighter on the rise. You got to make a statement. Don't play with your food. Get him out of there.
Especially when you have an opportunity to fight in front of a national audience. Good body shot.
Big jab there from Viloria.
Watch the back of the head. Watch the back of the head.
Approaching a minute left in this third round.
Not much steam coming off of Young's punches right now.
And Young's left eye completely swollen.
Nice defense right there by Viloria, slipping and rolling, and then he throws a nice shot to the solar plex.
That's exactly what you were talking about in the last fight.
Yep, I love that. It's beautiful movement right there.
Another left there from Viloria.
As somebody that's worked many championship corners, this is something where I look at a fighter and his corner may have to take a look at their own guy to save him from himself.
For sure.
Jab connects there from Viloria. Body shots back upstairs with a right.
You see that nice short slip and rolling? That's James Tony's type stuff right there.
Even the way he had his hands up right there, and he knew exactly what he was going to do right afterwards.
Pick him up a little bit, Laura. Pick him up.
And what I like is that he's nice and comfortable on the inside.
Very comfortable, very relaxed. He's not exerting a whole lot of energy on the inside.
Listen for the bell. Time.
And you can see the left eye swelling up, Mike, of Young.
Yeah. And every second that goes by that you don't address that, and right now they haven't addressed that. I don't see anybody with an end swell. They're giving him some water. You have to get on that because in an 8-round fight, you can't just put the towel over him. I don't like to be critical of what people do in the corner, but sometimes we got to be honest about what we see. That eye and that cheek needs some end swell. If not, it could become a problem as soon as this next round. Matter of fact, the doctor's just come up on the apron, and I think he's taking a look. He's taking a look at Alejandro Young.
You know, this got to be very overwhelming for Young. You know, how explosive Valero is. You know, he's very explosive, throwing punches from so many different angles. It's like he doesn't have an answer for nothing.
It's Young's first fight here in the United States. His first 13 professional bouts were in Mexico.
He may not want to come back.
And you got to respect Young because he's coming in and he's being aggressive and he's letting his hands go.
He's coming out throwing here in this round for sure. Young complaining about some shots below the belt. Referee Ivan Guillermo saying, no, you got to fight.
The referee's done a really good job with this fight. I like his positioning. You know, he knows that Young is taking some shots, and the referee's putting himself in position to take the best look at him. Because in the end, the fighter's safety is paramount.
There's that jab once again from Viloria.
His face is really starting to swell up now.
Another body shot, Viloria. He's done a fantastic job of working the body tonight. Young, we see him being more aggressive here in this fourth round.
Gabe, those subtle head movements and being relaxed on the inside really puts him in position to throw any punch that he wants when he's ready.
Nice combination and a strong jab there from Viloria.
And they're going to
wave.
They're going to wave this
And
off.
Young's corner is calling for the fight, and that's it. Justin Viloria with a 4th round knockout here to improve to 9-0.
That was an impressive performance, fellas.
Keep an eye out for Viloria.
Absolutely.
He's the real deal.
I've had a chance to work some fights where he's been on the card when he was very early in his career. He's developing nice. He's got a good team around him. And that family fighting pedigree really showed tonight, Gabe.
No, for sure, man.
As you see him talking to the crowd coming here ringside, he's got a lot to be proud of. He's very happy. And hats off to Chinito Young because he took some tough shots tonight, and it wasn't him that wanted to stop the fight. And thank God that his corner saved him from himself.
And you know, guys at this level of Viloria, you know, they fight guys with padded records. You know, Young, 12-1 with 6 knockouts. You know, he's a solid guy. You know, this guy, Young, will give guys a lot of trouble. Viloria made it easy work.
Absolutely. And I thought before the fight when I commented that I thought it was Young that was actually taking a step up in class, and that was very evident.
Here's how this fight was stopped.
Yeah, you know, Viloria just staying patient in the inside, that nice head movement, kind of like Chavez Sr. Nice short head movement, looking for the opportunity to explode and let some shots go. And right there, he rips to the body, up top to the head. And right there, the corner is about to jump in and stop the fight.
He was very measured in his attack. He planned his work, and Gabe worked his plan. Rashawn, you must be good luck because we got some great fights.
Of the blue corner, referee Ivan Guillermo puts a halt to this fight. The end comes officially 1 minute, 29 seconds. Round number 4. Your winner by way of knockout here, still undefeated, Justin Jose Viloria.
That was impressive.
So Viloria wins it. 129 in the 4th round. 7th knockout of his career as he improves to 9-0 overall. You see, time for a family photo op in the middle of the ring, and they got to be proud of young Justin, how he was able to handle his work here tonight, fellas.
There's some fighters in that family right there. Don't let those glasses on the right fool you by the Hawaiian punch. He looks innocent enough, but man, he could really chop down some wood. Gabe, this is a kid you really like to see a lot more of, correct?
No, for sure, man. You know, just great boxing IQ. I love his patience, but then at the same time, he knows when to attack, when to get you out of there. Great ring generalship. Great fighter.
Being around the fight game like you are, those are things that you can, the layperson may not be able to see, but people, your fighter or me working a lot of fights, those kind of guys stand out.
Oh, for sure. You know, if I'm a promoter and I'm watching this young fighter, man, I know that this kid's going to be a star. I know he's going to be a future champion.
Absolutely. Good-looking kid, and he's...
You know, and look, Young was game. You know, Young was in good shape. He was active. He was trying right there, throwing some card combinations. But Viloria just was on another class above. He knew how to stay patient in the inside, catch and shoot, counter, good body work right there. And that shot right there was a shot where the corner jumps in and they throw the towel.
Absolutely, and I think that body work very early on after the first round. Justin really separated himself, and you could really see his class come out, that whole pedigree.
And I think what stood out the most about Ettore was his understanding the ring.
Coming up next, our main event from Long Beach.
It's time to transform your web
The sun has set here in beautiful Long Beach, California. Just past 8:30 here on the West Coast. And those of you back east, thanks for sticking up with us. Exciting night of fights here from the Thunder Studios. Up next is our main event.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go with our main event this evening. 10 rounds in the welterweight division. And first to make his way to the ring, fighting out of the blue corner. He joins us from Las Vegas, Nevada. Here is Kevin Johnson.
The 32-year-old Kevin Johnson comes out of Las Vegas, born and raised in Detroit. Johnson 12-5, 8 of those wins coming by knockout. 5'10", 145 pounds. His last fight was back in December. It was a loss by unanimous decision against Isaiah Johnson at the Harrah's in Philadelphia. Made his debut back in 2016.
All right, we're ready for the main event. It's Johnson versus Tudor. The draft is done, and Tudor Sanders, doesn't have a team. I'm shocked. Seattle got a quarterback, although Milroe, good athlete. Maybe he'll work out for us. We got Lakers, Timberwolves. Looks like an interesting game. I'm watching the A's and the White Sox as well. And taking care of the little Danielle freaks. Hope everybody will subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and tap some reactions if you're on YouTube. If you're on Twitch, please, follow the stream. If you got any friends that love boxing, tell them to get on in here. Appreciate all of you guys that have been hanging out. I think some of the guys that followed on Twitch might not have been able to chat due to our Latin luminaires in the Indigenous Voices shelves. Anyhow, I'm going to get out of the way. Let's watch the main event. And appreciate all of you guys tuning in. We should have more fights coming up from Creator Sports Network in the coming weeks.
Excited about this one. It's his first time as a headliner. He's ready to show the world what he can do here tonight, Mike.
He told me that when he found out he had a fight that was scheduled for a couple weeks ago when they moved him as a main event. He's with Golden Boy. They moved to a main event. He said there was extra added motivation once he knew he was fighting in the main event, that he was training and even more focused.
Tudor, 12-1, 7 of those wins coming by knockout. Raised in D.C., he was born in Romania. Hails now from Fort Lauderdale. 5'11 and a half on 146 pounds. His last fight was in November. It was a win by unanimous decision. That one went 10 rounds against Harold Eduardo Calderon at the Virgin Hotels in Las Vegas. As we see the tail of the tape with these two welterweights. A 1-inch height advantage for Tudor. He's 9 years the junior of Johnson.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Live around the world on DAZN from Thunder Studios here in Long Beach, California. This is the main event of the evening. 10 rounds of boxing this schedule in the welterweight division. It is brought to you by Paco Presents and sponsored by BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. All fight odds for tonight's fights are brought to you by BetOnline. Sanctioned by the California State Athletic Commission, the executive officer, Andy Foster, and the chairman is Pete Villegas. The 3 judges scoring at ringside, Johnny Davis, Pam Hayashida, and Ron Stevens. And inside the ring, your referee in charge of the action, Sharon Sands. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the judges are ready, the fighters are ready, the boxing world is ready. Long Beach, make some noise if you are ready! Introducing you first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing gold trunks trimmed in white. He weighed in officially 145 and 1/2 pounds. In 17 professional fights, his record stands at 12 victories, 5 defeats, 8 wins coming by way of knockout. Hailing from and fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, here is KJ Kevin Thunderstorm Johnson! Aimed across the ring, his opponent fighting out of the red corner. Wearing white trunks trimmed in black, he weighed officially 146 1/2 pounds. In 13 professional fights, his record outstanding with 12 victories. Just 1 defeat. 7 wins coming by way of knockout. Hailing from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, here is Eric Tudor!
Front and center. You received your instructions in the dressing room. I expect a good, clean fight. Here's the belt line. Keep the punches up. Protect yourself at all times. Touch gloves and come up the belt. Thank you.
So here we go with our main event, scheduled for 10 rounds in the welterweight division.
Hey, Javier, thanks for subscribing, man.
Johnson.
I got the little guys here, and I have no other adults in the house, so I'm doing both,
Boy Promotions.
streaming and watching them. So let me get you on the subscriber
and the
wall,
white trunks with the black trim. Johnson in the gold with the white trim. And here we go with our 6th and final fight of the evening from Thunder Studios in
I'll
Long
be on
Beach.
the show later if you guys are looking for MLB The Show
Haylock,
drops.
Gabe Rosado, Mike Rodriguez here with you.
I hope we
It's
get
been
a great fight
night of
during
action
this,
here in the
this
5-6-2.
championship battle.
Some really good matchmaking tonight. I don't expect anything different in this 6th fight. Every fight that we've seen tonight has had some bit of, all of them been competitive and compelling.
What's Johnson looking to do here? He's 32 years old, taking on the 23-year-older Gabe.
Well, he's doing the right thing. Keeping his distance, head movement, jabbing. Not giving Tudor the distance that he needs to throw let his hands go with combinations.
And he knows he has 10 rounds, so he's not going to be in a big hurry right now. This is not a 4 or 6 or an 8-round fight.
But for Tudor, he needs to double up the jab and not follow Johnson. That was a nice 1-2. Tudor finishing the right hand to the body.
He's already trying to find range with that right hand, both upstairs and downstairs.
Goes downstairs to the body there.
And that was nice, because he landed that hook to the body, but it wasn't a forceful shot. He's just letting his hands go, and that's what you want to do. You want to touch. Think power later, but right now just kind of feel the range of where your opponent is.
Johnson says he wants to showcase his skills and just be him. In a sense, that means hit and don't get hit. We'll see if that can stand up here tonight against Tudor.
I like what I see about Tudor, man. He's closing the distance well. He's not being overwhelmed by the movement of Johnson. He's being patient. He's landing that good 1-2, man. That's a nice 1-2. And what I like about that 1-2 is he's not loading up on it.
And he's not falling in and allowing a clinch. He's keeping Johnson at the end of his shot.
Final seconds ticking away in this opening round here of our main event.
10 seconds. Stop it.
So far I can see that, man, Tudor has good feet. He knows when to step in and when to step out.
Lands with the jab there as we reach the end of round 1.
I would think that Tudor's trainer in his corner got to be happy with that first round for all the things that you mentioned, Gabe.
No, for sure. It was a decent round. He stood patient. He stood poised. And he waited for his opportunity to land some shots.
I think he put that one definitely in the bank.
Eric Tudor, the Golden Boy prospect. Our main event here tonight is Paco Presents Boxing. And association with Golden Boy Promotions.
And as you see in the corner with Johnson, his former Philly fighter who transplanted out to Las Vegas, David Sample, who fought two Division World Champions, Miguel Angel Gonzalez and Zab Judah.
Notice Johnson not sitting in between rounds there, Mike.
Maybe he fights MMA, I don't know.
My seat here is pretty comfortable. Tudor working the jab.
Come on, let's work out of it. Work out of it, Kevin. Good job.
And you know what I like? It's not a lot, but what I like is that Tudor doesn't stay. He doesn't give Johnson a target. He's constantly moving side to side, where Johnson's not comfortable to throw, because by that movement, side to side movement by Tudor, he can quickly counter with a left hook or right hand.
Yes, he's staying just off that line, and the great thing about his range, just like Viloria did, he's keeping Johnson at the end of his shots.
And the thing is, when Johnson's throwing, Tudor's movement, he's making Johnson miss. You know, Johnson can't find a target.
No, he's coming up real short in a lot of his shots. He's quick, he looks snappy, but there's an old saying, never mistake activity for achievement. And I didn't make that up. I think the Wizard of Westwood, legendary UCLA basketball coach, John Wooden, I got that from him.
You know, Johnson's trying to psych himself up, talking a little trash right now to Tudor, but Tudor's staying poised. It's not working.
And Johnson smothered his own work there. That was the first opportunity he had to really land some punches, and he smothered all of his shots.
Nice combo there from Tudor.
See, Tudor's doing a little bit of what we saw Viloria do. Nice and poised in the inside, eyes sharp, and letting his hands go at the right time. Johnson's throwing another jab, and he's swinging and hitting there.
Tudor going downstairs, working the body there.
He's being quick, but he's not in a hurry. And I like that.
Nice jab right there.
Another Woodenism there from you.
Absolutely. And right now, if you notice, Tudor's giving Johnson a little bit of his own medicine by the way his fight posture is right now, but he's doing it a little bit more effectively. And that may play on the psyche of Johnson, because he's almost kind of mirroring him a little bit, but he's being a lot more effective.
And a nice combination there from Johnson.
10 seconds. Stop it.
Tudor looked like he has a small nick over the left eye.
Yeah, and I also noticed some redness under that same eye. One of the things that I like to do in the corner, even if something's not a problem, you got to get on those things immediately, and that's exactly what they're doing. It looks like. Rather than just putting a gauze pad on there, I'd like to see a cold end swell on there for that direct pressure, so to kind of it's not going to take the swelling away, but it's not going to make it get any worse. You got to invest in that for the later rounds.
Right here, you know, Tudor doubling up that jab, throwing that right hand to the body. Nice movement, not allowing Johnson to have a target to land anything. And when Johnson's throwing, Tudor's right there slipping and rolling shots. Hands up, good defense right there by Tudor. And he goes right back to his offense.
Johnson threw about 6 or 7 punches, and they either got slipped or they landed on his gloves.
So that left eye will be something to watch of Tudor's.
Normally when you see any kind of face trauma underneath the eye, it's not a problem, but when it starts moving up into the eye socket, then it becomes a little bit more a concern. And if you have something going on in the eyelid or the top of the eye, you don't want them to connect, because then it can become a problem.
I like what Tudor did right there. You know, Johnson tried to style on him, you know, with head movement, and Tudor stopped it immediately with a jab.
Comes back with another jab there. Goes to the body. Johnson playing to the crowd a little bit.
He needs to play a little bit more with Eric Tudor here because he's got his hands full.
Yeah, you know, Johnson's trying to play mind games with Tudor, trying to psych him out, but Tudor's staying nice and poised.
Combination there from Johnson. Tudor comes back with the right.
But the thing with Johnson is he kind of elevates, gets on his toes when he punches. He doesn't sit down on his shot, so his punches more have a slapping effect rather than a thudding effective effect.
Let him go, Kevin. Punch your way out. That's it.
Johnson's corner telling him to
nice
work
right
his
uppercut.
hands. Johnson going to the body with that left. And back upstairs. Tudor trying to counter with the double jab.
That was some good inside defense by Tudor. He kept the guard nice and tight, blocking those body shots.
Let him go. Let him go.
He was able to do that and still remain tall in the pocket, you know, without compromising getting hit. He is covering up very nice in there.
Yeah, a lot of those shots are just hitting the elbow or the gloves. Nice defense by Tudor.
And just like Viloria did in the last fight, he doesn't smother himself very much.
Nice short uppercut right there by Tudor. Switched that up. He had Johnson thinking the right hand was coming up top.
And after he threw that uppercut, he still come up with a right hand, which you don't see very often. That was very James Toney-like.
Johnson working his way off the corner.
Hands in front. Hands in front. That is all I'm out.
Johnson was able to land that right. Comes back to the body with the left. And a left cross there from
10
Johnson.
seconds, guys. 10 seconds.
Johnson was a lot busier that round. He did land a couple of shots, but they didn't have much power on them because he smothers his shots, and they're more in a slapping motion.
You know, right here, Tudor, nice jab to the body. And that jab to the body to set something up top. Good defense right there by Tudor.
He pulls back effectively, so a lot of times Johnson's just hitting air.
Nice short right uppercut right there in the inside.
King Sample, the trainer for Kevin Johnson. Some last words there as we start this fourth round here on the Zone.
You know, in some ways, Johnson had the same journey as his trainer, King Sample. Sample coming from Philly and then transplanting to Vegas to fight out of Las Vegas. And Johnson doing the same thing coming from Detroit. Detroit, Philly, you know, two great fighting cities. And we're lucky enough to have one of Philly's finest sitting here next tonight, King Gabe Rosado.
North Philadelphia, baby. Yeah, when it comes to Philly and Michigan, man, it's big.
Absolutely. It's always big at the national tournaments. You know, back when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, you know, there was a lot of great world champions and fighters from both Philly and Detroit. There's been a little bit of a void in Detroit, and I know they're trying to make a little bit of a comeback as a lot of their top amateurs are now turning pro.
More charades there from Johnson. Tudor unable to take advantage.
But with all that, there was no effective scoring punches. It didn't seem to phase Tudor too much, and he's sticking to his game plan.
you know, with Johnson doing that.
Johnson firing that left, trying to connect with the body. Tudor doing a good job of blocking shots.
All right, stop it.
What are you thinking, Gabe, if you see a guy dancing and shimmying like that opposite you in the ring?
You know, he's doing that because he's trying to find something that's working for him, because he's definitely not outlanding Tudor or winning the rounds. But, you know, this is a fight, not a dance contest.
Does that make you more anxious as a fighter to try to get in there and land shots?
No, you know, I think Tudor did the right thing. You know, he didn't allow it, you know, to take him out of his game, and he's staying sharp. You want to stay sharp because, you know, pretty much what Johnson's doing is he's trying to find a way to get Tudor off his rhythm.
And Tudor's being very mature in his approach, remaining calm, doing what works.
Interesting to say that about the 23-year-old going up against a 32-year-old in Johnson, who's firing shots now as we reach the end, near the end of the round. Through 4 here in our main event. How do you guys see this one?
I mean, I think Tudor's ahead, you know, controlling the rounds, controlling the pace of the fight.
I think in Johnson's mind, because he is trying to do some things, I think he might be convinced that he's winning some of those rounds, but my eyes tell me at the end of each round, who would I want to be? And at the end of those first 4 rounds, I'd rather be Eric Tudor.
You see that left eye there of Tudor. Doesn't seem to be much of an issue. You see some of the taunts by Johnson.
I mean, what was the fighter? Emmanuel Augustus.
Yeah,
used to do that a lot.
he used to have that drunken, was it called the drunken sailor?
Yeah. But, you know, when Emmanuel Augustus did that, he was actually winning the rounds.
And he would actually punch and hit you.
Yeah.
I remember he did that when he fought Floyd Mayweather and a bunch of other guys.
Floyd said that was one of his toughest fights.
Very awkward guy. Good shot, right uppercut. Tudor measured him with that shot. I just don't think Johnson's going to be very effective if he's going backwards, and eventually, now that we're into the 5th round, that his default button is now, instead of circling, he's starting to go directly back to the corner. And what that's doing is Tudor's able to shrink the ring on him and effectively cut him off.
Tudor, the Golden Boy prospect. Big right there. Johnson acting as if he's unfazed. Double jab there from Johnson. Tries to come back with that right, nothing doing. And Tudor, with that reach of his, able to land the jab.
The one thing that Tudor's doing that Johnson's not doing is Tudor's changing lines and he's changing levels. So that jab, even though he's throwing it frequently, it's not coming from the same spot. So it's like a baseball pitcher. If you throw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball down the same spot every time, a big league hitter's going to catch up to it. But a good pitcher is going to throw pitches at different speeds, different locations, and different angles. And that's what Tudor's doing a good job of.
Couple of overhand rights from Tudor. Johnson now on the defense. Tudor sneaks a jab in there. Now Johnson going to the body. After being encouraged from his corner to do so. King Sample tell him to go at the body and the hip.
See right here in between, with Johnson letting his hands go, Tudor got to set him up for a big shot. Because Johnson's leaving himself vulnerable now exposing his chin.
And what he was also able to do is catch a couple of breaths while Johnson was doing that, not so effectively.
Yeah. See, right here is when Tudor can kind of slip and counter a big right hand or left hook.
And there he goes. He tried to throw it.
Hands are free. Let's go. 10 seconds.
Nice combination from Johnson there. Round 5 in the books.
We're halfway through. It's going by quick. I think Tudor's in control of the fight. As you see, Cutman John Michael working on Johnson. Looks like there's some blood in the nose. Johnson needs to concentrate on Tudor and not worried about who's in the crowd.
He seems to be focused on a lot of things in this fight.
He seems to be getting a stern warning from King Sample there, and rightfully so.
Rashawn Haylock, Gabe Rosado, Mike Rodriguez, our fantastic crew with you here this Friday night on The Zone. This is our main event. Paco presents boxing in association with Golden Boy Promotions. Tudor versus Johnson. And here we go with round 6. It's Tudor going back to the jab. Johnson's corner making the same point you made earlier, Gabe, in terms of with him shimmying down there, you might as well throw some punches.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I don't think this is going to work for Johnson. You know, I think this is actually working against him fighting this style. I think he's better off guard up, double up the jab, and just apply pressure and throw combinations.
It goes back to Mike's point, right? Who would you rather be?
And it's
when you look at the scorecards.
And it's not that Johnson is absent talent. He can move his hands. And I think you're right about that. The posturing is not effective for him. And if he just got back to some boxing fundamentals, he may have more success.
Exactly. Go to the basics. He's fighting a style that usually you have to have really fast hands and quick reflex to be successful with that kind of style. Tudor's just way too sharp for that stuff to land.
And you can't have just one or the other. You got to have both.
For sure.
And the speed not quite there for Johnson.
Ref almost got caught right there.
Yeah, they got caught in no man's land there. But Tudor did the right thing. The ref didn't break him, so you punch.
More posturing here from Johnson.
That looks like me at my junior prom some years ago.
Well, you know, he actually landed the hook. But
I really like the way Tudor measures off when he circles. He doesn't leave himself vulnerable at all. Both hands are high. That left hand is high so he doesn't get caught with a cheap right hand.
You know, Tudor has a good jab, but I like to see him throw a power jab. Because, you know, his jabs are snappy jabs and they're like range-finding kind of jabs.
Right.
But throw a jab where you're actually trying to, like, hurt the opponent.
And I think as the fight progresses and he's able to back him up, that shotgun jab backing Johnson up against the rope will be really effective.
For sure.
Because when he does that, then he's able to sit down with his feet and throw a hard right hand or a hook. Kind of like what he's doing right there.
Johnson working the body, goes upstairs now. We've seen him have some flurries here at the end of rounds.
He has had some flurries. I just don't think it's enough.
Round 6 complete.
You know, right here, Johnson's just trying to be slick, you know, with that shoulder roll style.
I like what Tudor did right there. He walked him back to the ropes with his legs. He actually let Johnson carry the both of them for a few steps. He doesn't look very marked up, but they have to be telling him that he's got to fight with a little bit more sense of urgency. Those little couple of flurries that he throws each round is not going to win him the round.
Needs to be more consistency from Johnson. Tudor's been the much more disciplined fighter here tonight. You look at Johnson, and a lot of charades tonight, a lot of shimmying. It goes back, in a sense, to why he fell in love with boxing in the first place. Said he loves slipping punches. That was how he got caught by the boxing bug.
And that's
at
how
the age of 15.
And that's how he just got caught with a nice little check left hook, too, from Tudor.
And, you know, right there, Johnson, you know, he really dug deep and threw combinations. And Tudor just stood there chill and poised, unbothered, catching every shot.
Absolutely. Very poised. And there he goes again. He walks him right back to the ropes, and he puts Johnson in a defensive disadvantage.
I think at this point, Tudor needs to step on the gas and really, really start throwing some mean shots.
And I think he can do that because Johnson doesn't have enough coming back at him that even gives him a moment of pause, other than a quick little flurry.
He connected on a quick left there, and another left from Johnson.
See, even right there, Johnson punches, but he smothers himself, so those punches aren't very effective or very hard.
Yeah, right here, if you're Tudor, you want to throw some shots at the liver. Keep slowing Johnson down. And right here, you got to work. You got to let your hands go. You got to double up shots right here in the inside. Double up the hook. Good shot.
Left hand there from Tudor. Trying to go to the body. There's that defense from Tudor, though, that's been there all night. And Tudor, now some blood showing from the face of Tudor. And Johnson connecting on a flurry there.
Probably the best 10, 15 seconds for Johnson in the fight right there.
And this is what we was talking about, where Johnson needs to be more basic and just stand in the pocket and throw shots rather than showboating.
Blood getting in the eye of Tudor.
He must have been listening to you because he's kind of doing this round, and Tudor's face is showing the effects of that. And I think we got a cut on the left eyelid.
I think it's, it's over the left eyelid.
And Tudor's bothered by it as well. Under 30 seconds left in this round. Let's see if Johnson can close it.
Johnson's had a better round, and maybe when he sees that Tudor's a little bit marked up, it inspires him a little bit. But I think this has been his best round. Doesn't necessarily mean he won the round, but it's been his best round.
I think he actually did win the round. He did good work on the inside.
Couple of double jabs there from Tudor, but leaking profusely from that left eye.
And I know if it's me in that corner, I'm going to be up in that ring apron waiting for my guy to be able to address that cut.
And it's almost like what we saw earlier in the fight, right? It doesn't really seem like these shots from Johnson are that pronounced, but yet we saw some blood from underneath that left eye and now above the left eye of Tudor.
And now they're getting that cut medicine on him.
Yeah, right here, Johnson, for the first time in the fight, actually stood in the pocket and wasn't loading up shots, was throwing combinations, just letting his hands go. And that's what he has to do with Tudor. Just let your hands go, don't load up, because Tudor got good defense. Just steal shots.
They're covering it with the Vaseline. The key here is after about a minute, when that heart starts pumping again, are you going to see that blood come back? And even though it may not be bleeding right now, any facial trauma or any strike may open that back up again. And it may, because seeing blood, it may really inspire Johnson.
And Gabe, he was clearly bothered by it in that last round. You saw him trying to wipe the blood out of his eye.
Yeah, for sure. But I like his stance right now. He's applying the pressure. And, I feel that, the cut, it happened because you allowed Johnson to get brave, where, you're in so much control of the fight were step on the gas and take Johnson's confidence away.
The one thing that I didn't see is if the ref ruled that if the cut was from a punch or an accidental clash of heads. I'm assuming it's going to be from a punch since she didn't say anything. And I think the referee, Sharon Sands, is doing a really good job in this fight. I think Johnson had some momentum, and then he carries his first minute of this round, and he didn't capitalize on that.
Yeah, you know, you got Tudor cut, bleeding from that eye. Step on the gas, man. You're behind on the scorecards. You got to step on the gas. You got to apply pressure and keep doing what you were doing in the last round.
To your point, Mike, didn't take long for that cut to reopen.
And it's not that they didn't do a good job. Sometimes the cuts will take, if they're doing it correctly, it'll take 2 or 3 rounds to close if it's not taking any more trauma. And it all depends, too, where that blood is leaking. If it's leaking down the side of the cheek, then it's not going to be a problem for his vision. But he does already have some swelling on that left eye as well as he throws a good right hand with Johnson against the ropes.
And, you know, what Tudor needs to do is he needs to double up the hook. You got to switch the rhythm of your punches because you're doing the same combos, and Johnson's picking that up.
And I think that's why he has had some success, because maybe he picked up on that as well.
Missing on a big left there is Tudor. Johnson almost mocking Tudor with the lazy left, but comes right back with the right.
I mean, I think this round is up for grabs here, even in this last 20 seconds.
And you wonder why Johnson didn't put his foot on the gas, to your point, Garrett. The door clearly open for him as this round hangs in the balance. Final 10 seconds.
All right, we got a great fight. It may go the distance. Please be sure to subscribe. Thanks to the Creator Sports Network and Golden Boy Sports for sponsoring tonight's stream. If you're on the Twitch stream, please be sure to follow and participate in chat. All the games that are in the YouTube stream, hope you're having a great time. Thanks for watching. I'll get out of the way. Let's watch these last 2 rounds, and I'll send it off to the fight card.
Assuming that's what they're using, and you want to get that on there for as many seconds as you possibly can with direct pressure. Johnson seems to have gotten his second win. He looked a little bit tired in round 4, and like in many athletic things, if you're in shape, you're able to get that second win, and he does look a little more energized. I just think he lost an opportunity that round to probably put 2 rounds in the books.
The penultimate round here in our main event. Tudor versus Johnson. Nice jab there from Tudor.
It's a nice strong jab.
And Johnson coming right back with a couple of his own and tries to work the body.
And look, one thing that, you know, it's not a good thing to get cut, but, you know, you always want to see how a fighter's going to respond to getting cut. You know, some guys, they switch up and, you know, they fold under a cut. You know, Tudor's still fighting the same style as the cut's not bothering him at all.
Especially a younger guy that hasn't been through that kind of adversity and been through those wars yet. And I've worked with guys like that, and some have excelled, like Francisco El Bendito Vargas, Sean Porter, yourself, Gabe. And then I've had other guys that kind of wilted under that kind of pressure and adversity.
For sure. Because, you know, a cut, man, the blood is getting in your eyes. You know, when you're getting hit over that cut, you know, it's painful. So it's a distraction when you have a really bad cut. So when you can fight through that, that shows the character of a fighter.
And human nature will make you, with your own glove, kind of mess with that eye. It's just human nature, which is really one of the worst things you can do.
And we saw Tudor do that in the earlier rounds.
But Tudor's remained really calm. He's very mature for the amount of fights and for his age.
Both of them landing a couple of uppercuts in deep.
And even with the cut, Tudor don't even mind staying in the inside.
No, and they've done a good job.
For sure.
We're 2 minutes into this round, and the cuts is under control. And with only one more round to go, it's not even going to be a factor.
For sure. Yeah, good job out of corner.
Johnson's definitely made it more competitive these last 3 rounds. I think he just gave away probably the first 5, though.
Yeah, for sure. You know, and this was the style that I believe Johnson should have been fighting from the rip. It's just stay in the pocket, let your hands go, don't load up, just keep working, keep working.
And you got to respect a guy like Johnson. He has fought 9 undefeated fighters, and many of them on short notice. So he's a pro's pro.
Johnson landing some punches in deep.
Yes. He actually threw those punches with some pretty bad intentions.
Oh, that was
lands
nice.
The uppercut there. Both fighters thought the round was over. It's not.
Johnson might have snuck this round with that last little 10, 15-second flurry.
For sure, definitely.
Can't believe, guys, we're coming into the 10th and final round of the final fight.
Tudor's corner still applying attention to that cut above the left eye.
And as you can see, like I said, it takes a few rounds sometimes, but look at it, it already looks better. The body is an amazing thing that will heal if you do everything correctly, and they have. So hats off to them.
You know, right here, Johnson set up a quick 1-2 counter, left hook, right hand. Nice sharp shots. Not loading up. He's landing these shots because he's being elusive, and he's not loading up.
Here we go, the 10th and final round from Thunder Studios in Long Beach. Paco presents boxing in association with Golden Boy Promotions, live here on DAZN.
Well, the main event hasn't disappointed.
Tudor in the white trunks, Johnson in the gold. Tudor seemingly had the upper hand in the earlier rounds, but Johnson has come back strong of late. Nice left hook there from Tudor.
And Gabe, to your point, Johnson's sitting down on his punches, especially the ones in the body now, a lot more than he was the first half of the fight. And he's done really well with that.
No, for sure, definitely.
Missing wildly there is Johnson. Stays on the attack. Connects with that right hand.
Tudor has slowed down the last 3 rounds, has given Johnson a little bit more opportunity. And let's just see what he can do here this last 2 minutes of the round.
Yeah, and Johnson has to keep doing what he's doing. Just keep applying that pressure and let your hands go.
The way he's fighting right now, I think we would have had a different fight had he came out doing that.
Absolutely.
But then again, maybe Tudor has gotten a little bit fatigued that has allowed him to do that. Maybe the cut subconsciously has bothered him.
For sure. But I think also it's the style change of Johnson now. You know, as earlier, Johnson was kind of just, you know, on the back foot, and now he's applying pressure, fighting the inside.
Yeah, he stopped the posturing. He's actually sitting down and coming forward and punching. Because he does know how to move his hands a little bit.
Oh, that's a
nice
good
right hand there from Johnson.
Yeah, Johnson might have won the last 3 rounds.
Yes. Good body work underneath there by Tudor to kind of stem the tide.
Oh,
a big right hand there from Tudor. Under 30 seconds left in our main event.
Good closing round. It's going to be one of those fights, and I know Johnson, because he thought he won the last 3 fights, I think he's going to think he also won this fight.
Oh, big
Tudor,
right hand by
a
Tudor.
flurry. Comes back with a big right, does Johnson, and a left. And this one going to go to the cards.
That second half of the fight was a lot more compelling than the first half. Johnson made a fight of it. He must have been listening to your instructions, Gabe.
Yeah, you know, he was successful when he stood in the pocket and let his hands go and wasn't loading up, just throwing pitter-patter shots, and then every now and then setting up those big power shots.
In a 10-round fight, these guys, especially with Tudor, he's only had 13 fights. A 10-round fight is much different than a 6 or an 8-rounder.
Absolutely.
Johnson with the big smile on his face. Seemingly may think he won this one. Tudor, left side of his face.
You know, he looks
a little traumatic.
He looks a little bit worse for wear, but I think, you know, overall in that 10-round fight, he held up really well, and I think he did enough to win the decision.
Yeah, he backed a lot of the early rounds.
Absolutely.
I think you know, it was the last 3 rounds where after that cut, he really didn't. You know, Johnson really stepped on the gas and got those rounds in. And even though this last round, you know, Tudor did land some big right hands, but Johnson got his back right here, throwing the combinations down that right.
Absolutely,
and that jab.
absolutely. I think that might have even influenced the judges with that last couple of big shots, you know, toward the end of the round.
Eric Tudor, 12-1. Kevin Johnson, 12-5. This one going to the cards. It's in the hand of the judges. And let's see what they thought.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds of action, we go to the scorecards, and here are the totals. Judge Davis scores at 98-92. Stevens, 97-93. And Hayashida has it 96-94. All 3 for your winner by unanimous decision from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Eric Tudor!
I thought the scoring was good. I had no problems with 96-94. I had no problems with 97-93. I thought 98-92 was a little bit wide.
Yeah. 97-93 was pretty good.
Yes. I think we were all in agreement that we thought that Johnson won 3 and possibly 4 rounds.
Johnson stunned there by the decision. Another tough loss for him, as that's now 4 straight that he's dropped by decision. Tudor, first time as a main event, improves to 13-1 in his career.
And hats off to Johnson, too, because if you look at the records of the fighters that he's fought, you know, he's a pro's pro. And this is the next step and the next evolution of a guy like Tudor that he needs to take, you know, if he wants to get to that next level and fight, you know, guys that are already, like guys like Alexis Rocha and Raul Curiel, guys that are a member of his promotional stable that he may end up having to fight here pretty soon.
For sure. You know, Tudor I think he's a good boxer, good distance, good jab. He has sharp defense, but he has to have more of a killer mentality. You know, there comes a point in a fight where you have to step on the gas and start throwing more combinations.
And I think he will develop that. I think he'll watch the tape of the fight, and you know, 10 rounds is you got a lot of things on tape. You got a lot of things to see. But overall, for his first main event, he did very well.
Well, Eric Tudor, very celebratory here tonight as he picks up the 13th win of his career in a unanimous decision over Kevin Johnson. Gabe Rosado, Mike Rodriguez. Guys, what's your takeaway from tonight?
It was a good fight, man. Good card, stat card. Viloria, man, to me, that was fight of the night. You know, very impressive. I love the way he fights. I'm looking forward to watching that kid develop.
Gabe's putting on his managerial hat. He's going to go sign this kid. Justin Viloria was the real standout. Tudor passed the test in the main event. We saw some good prospects on the undercard, some guys that really asserted themselves well. I thought the matchmaking and the promotion tonight with Paco Presents in association with Golden Boy was top-notch. When people watch fights, they want to see compelling fights, and they want to see fighters have to fight and beat the best guys.
Yeah, fantastic slate of action here tonight from Long Beach. We enjoyed it. Certainly hope you did too. If you take a look at how the night went on here tonight from the Thunder Studios in Long Beach. Getting us started tonight was Danilo Diaz and Giovanny Gonzalez. That one was a second round TKO in favor of Diaz at 255 in round 2.
And I thought Diaz accounted himself very well. He's a very strong kid. He fought a rough kid from Venezuela. And, you know, when he did his job, he came across the country from Miami, and it was a good trip out to mostly sunny L.A. for him.
For sure. Diaz did good. All I would recommend is more head movement. More head movement, quick jabs, but, you know, it was solid performance, good body work, good stoppage.
I thought the officiating tonight was really good with Sharon Sands and Ivan Guillermo. They did their job in keeping the fighters safe.
Our second fight tonight, bantamweights, Roy Cano making his professional debut against Larry Serrano Romero. That one went to a majority draw.
Yeah, that was a good close fight. It was a rough pro debut for Cano. That when I say rough, meaning that, you know, he didn't get a cupcake tonight, and Serrano fought a really good fight, a fight that he probably, and some people think he deserved to win.
Yeah, I thought Serrano should have won the fight. You know, I think he did a little more. I think I had it maybe 3-1, but, you know, it's a 4-round fight.
And as you can see, he looked a little disappointed there.
Javier Meza and Luciano Ramos was our third fight in the super lightweight division. That one went the full 6 rounds, and it was Meza winning it in a unanimous decision.
Yeah, he definitely had to earn his stripes tonight, because even though Ramos didn't have a glitzy record, he's a very, very rough guy, and you can see why he's gone the distance, probably with some pretty good prospects his last 6 or 7 fights.
Ramos with that MMA background. Saw him get very physical in the ring, but Meza was able to withstand it, to improve to 3-0 in his young career. Our fourth fight tonight, Ricardo Robledo and Dante Ettore. It was Robledo winning it in a majority decision.
You know, and Dante had moments, you know, but I think he kind of like let the fight get away from his hands because he wasn't as aggressive as Valero. You know, Valero wanted to fight more.
This was a fight right here, guys. I was really looking forward to, and Justin Viloria passed everything with a lot of flying colors, and I really think on the national stage tonight here on the Zone by Paco Presents, I really think he opened up a lot of eyes to the boxing world.
Viloria improving to 9-0 with 7 knockouts by way of a 4th round KO at 129 in the 4th, knocking off Alejandro Chinito Young. And our main event tonight, it went the distance. Eric Tudor in the main event for the first time, taking on Kevin Johnson.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, Tudor, man, he dominated in the first half of the fight. You know, good defense, nice and poised. But, you know, when it was time for him to step on the gas, he didn't. He got cut, and then, you know, Johnson flipped the script on him and started to apply the pressure.
And Johnson did what an experienced pro does. He saw some openings, and he tried to take advantage of that. And, you know, hats off to him, because that especially the last 4 rounds, he made Eric Tudor earn everything. He made him earn that decision.
Yeah, but it was a good learning lesson for Tudor. fought through adversity and got the win.
And that's what you want as you're building your career. You want to pass. You want to pass every test, and you want to pass certain tests of fighters of different styles. That's going to bode well for you later in your career.
Johnson came on late after he was able to bloody the eye of Tudor. But Tudor stayed poised, stayed disciplined, and ended up coming up with the win, improving to 13-1 in his career. Winning this one by unanimous decision. That one going the full 10 rounds here in Long Beach.
I definitely think the crowd got their money's worth tonight with all 6 fights.
It's been a good one. So for Gabe Rosado, the crime fighting cut man Mike Rodriguez, our fantastic crew, I'm Rashawn Haylock, saying good night from Long Beach. You've been watching Paco Presents in association with Golden Boy Promotions right here on DAZN.
All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope everybody on YouTube subscribed. If you're lurking on the purple side, please be sure to follow. Let's get you guys lined up for a raid. See who's live on Twitch. YouTube, unfortunately, doesn't have a rating feature. Let's see. Gonna see who's on the front page and raid out. We should have more fights coming soon to the stream, so hope you guys will check those out. It's always great to bring you guys anything from Creator Sports Network. Appreciate the opportunity from them. Oh, there's a cool GeoGuessr stream. We'll take it there. If you guys are looking for any of the MLB The Show streamers, you know, go ahead and support them. Get your drops on, and I'll be on with the drops tonight, probably a little bit before midnight or around midnight Pacific Standard Time. Francisco backslid, the other Francisco, Edgar, appreciate all of you guys. Hope you enjoyed it there in YouTube. And again, please be sure to subscribe. I'll be back with more fights as soon as Creator Sports Network says we're doing more fights. So thanks everybody, and we'll see you guys again soon. Here we go to Emily Bloom Show on Twitch and do some geo-guessing. As soon as I get the raid sent, we'll wrap up here. Gamma, hopefully we see you later. Here we go.